As we got right into it.
Casey Kane, he's run the fastest laps the last couple of times around. He'll get his first win of 2012.
New leader in Richmond, it's Carl Edwards.
Doing good, bud. Keep it up.
They gave us a black flag there.
They said you jumped the restart.
Engine's blowing up, I think. That's very frustrating.
Kyle Busch smoked out from behind the M&M's Toyota.
Oh, it's blowing up, boys. Woohoo!
Problem for Kyle Busch.
We blew up again. We're going to be okay here. What up, boys? We back. Victory lane in Richmond, boys. Hail to the yeah.
Trouble, Jeff Gordon spins up the racetrack.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Man, I'm way loose.
Jeff Gordon's got a problem.
Man, this is pathetic.
Jeff Gordon's dream has come true. It is raining like the end of time right now, and when you pull the plug, it's all over. Jeff Gordon is the winner.
There goes Newman off the bumper of someone.
Trouble in turn 2. Ryan Newman has expired the engine.
All clear. It's all you.
He's going to pull off the win at Martinsville.
Here comes Ambrose way wide. They are side by side. Move Ambrose to the top spot.
Come on, you got it. You got it.
Marcus Ambrose, for the second year in a row, will win. Woo!
Man, I can't believe it. The wily veteran and the youngster trying to pull one off. Beat that old man. Come on. Martin is loose. Joey Logano takes the lead on turn 1. Come on, buddy. Bring it home to us. Come on.
Welcoming you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway and NASCAR Countdown. We're about 26 minutes away from the green flag. Wild card and the wild card chase is on. Casey Kane with 2 wins. He's got a pretty good grasp on wild card spot number 1. Carl Edwards without any wins, trying to make his win into the postseason. Then there's also Kyle Busch. He got a win earlier this year in Richmond. What would number 2 give for him? And of course, Jeff Gordon got the win at Pocono. The rain delay, but oh, how good is he at this track? The top 6 drivers in contention for that final wild card spot. There are a few that have done quite well at Atlanta. Carl Edwards got his first ever win here, and Jeff Gordon got his 85th career win here. This race 1 season ago, and we've been saying all along that each track we go to, the advantage has switched from driver to driver based on their performance. Last week we were saying it was Kyle Busch. This week, because of last year, I would think it would be Jeff Gordon. Do you agree?
I totally agree with you. I think Jeff Gordon's going to be fantastic tonight. Why? Because he's got to win. Mr. Hendrick was on earlier and said Jeff feels good about it. But look, the guy came here last year and dominated. He was second fastest in practice last night. He qualifies, 5th for the night. He's looking really good. I mean, I think Jeff Gordon's going to be the guy that's going to win this race tonight and get it done only because he's been fast and he's got to do it.
Not me. Jeff Gordon's done. He's done. They've not been able to get it done all season long. The sands run through the hourglass. Jeff Gordon's done. He's not making a change.
I really am going to get a little tape recorder and let you record that. So when I ask you the exact same question next week, you can just play. Let's go downstairs and talk to the other guy involved, or one of the other guys involved in this wild card battle. Carl Edwards is with Mike Massaro.
And Carl has to be feeling a sense of urgency. You know you only got 2 regular season races remaining, and I know you realize what you got to do. What's this like for you?
Thanks for reminding me. It's really pretty neat. You know, there aren't many things that get me as excited as racing, and right now to be under this pressure, our whole Vasinol team knowing that we've got to perform, you know, it's a true test, and hopefully we can do it. We've got 2 racetracks that are great. Atlanta could not be a better racetrack for us, and Richmond is great too. So it's fun to go to the racetrack, just lay it all on the line and go try to get a win.
Carl Edwards, as he said, a pretty good racetrack for him. Place where he has 3 wins, Nicole.
Well, the other guy in this mix is obviously Kyle Busch. But first on Carl, one thing that stood out to me earlier this week, and he said, if I'm taken away from this earth, there's a place in heaven that looks like Atlanta Motor Speedway. So obviously he likes it here.
Oh, he likes it a lot. But see Jeff Gordon comment from Brad. Carl Edwards, is done as well. He's not going to make a chase.
Please
Another
refer to.
inconsistent season that doesn't lend itself to these last 2 pressure-packed races and putting both of those guys in victory lane. Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, you guys are done.
I am not writing Carl Edwards off. I mean, he's under the gun right now. He's got to get it done, just
Been
like
under the
Jeff
gun all
Gordon.
year.
Yeah, but, this is where he won his first race. He is so good at this track, especially at running the top line here. Remember a long time ago when he was on the top of the racetrack coming off of turn 4?
What'd you say? Long time ago.
Yeah, but he still remembers.
Long time ago.
He still's got it.
When is the last time Carl Edwards won a race?
Don't worry about it.
Long time
Don't worry
ago.
about it.
Las
That's old
Vegas.
news. He might
Beginning
get
of
it
last
done tonight.
season. Hey, let's go downstairs and catch up with Vince Welsh because he's got that guy, the winner of this race last year.
Jeff Gordon, and had an interesting conversation with your crew chief, Alan Gustafson, earlier today, and he's described his emotions as disappointed, angry, yet confident. So I'm curious as to how your mindset matches up with that.
Well, I tell you what, he's firing up this whole race team right now because of his attitude and that determination that he has, and I mean, you can just see it in his eyes. We're not out of this thing. We've got a great race car here with the DuPont Chevrolet tonight, and I mean, he is definitely angry, and I tell you what, he's got us scared, so we better go out there and do our jobs, and that's what a great leader does. And we've got a race team, a race car that's capable of way more than what we've put out there, and we know the pressure's on. We've got to go get a win or 2, and let's hope that begins here tonight.
You won here last year, Dave.
Kyle Busch is wild card number 2, 13th in points, 39 out of 10th, Kyle, with 1 win. What's on your mind as we get Atlanta started tonight?
Nothing but Atlanta. Just got to focus on what we've done all year long and just keep running hard and doing the best we can. Double McCamry was really good yesterday, and got in the fence a little bit, scraped her, but guys did a good job getting it back together, at least getting us back out on the racetrack for a little bit more practice time. And car ran really fast, respectable lap time. So I'm pleased with that, and we'll just see what we can get out of tonight. We know that there's a couple fast guys out there that we're racing against for the wild card spot. So if we just have a solid night and they don't win, we're okay. But if they do win, then we'll have to just run hard in Richmond.
Kyle Busch starts 3rd tonight. Nicole?
Okay, so we know what you guys think about the wild card race. Who do you think will actually win the race?
I think Jeff Gordon's going to win this race tonight. Like I said earlier, he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's up for it. Jeff Gordon.
Kyle Busch should be strong, but Jimmy Johnson wins tonight as he marches towards his 6th championship.
And when we come back, you know what we do? We go upstairs to get you closer to the green flag.
Very interesting evening of racing for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on the fast mile-and-a-half Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just like baseball's pennant races, the fight for places in the chase for the Sprint Cup is coming down to the wire, and the pressure's on high for a number of drivers and teams tonight. Drivers like Kevin Harvick, shown there a moment ago, Carl Edwards getting buckled in, and Jeff Gordon. All have a lot on the line tonight and in next Saturday night's race in Richmond. Harvick is in the top 10 in points and currently with a place in the chase, but he's not comfortably in the top 10 and doesn't have that win yet this season to fall back on. For Edwards, Busch, and Gordon, win, and you might get in. But again, only a couple of races left to try and get that done. And welcome to our telecast of tonight's race from Atlanta. Alan Bestwick with former Atlanta winning driver Dale Jarrett and Atlanta winning crew chief Andy Petrie. They've both been in the fight for these championships. They both won a championship and both know what that pressure is like. For those guys like Gordon and Busch and Edwards, how does the pressure affect them during the race?
Well, it's going to certainly be on their mind. Every move that they make in this 500-mile race here tonight on a fast and slick racetrack could affect if they're in the chase or not. And these drivers totally understand that. You know, this week was the first time that I heard drivers like Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards talk about the pressures of trying to get into the chase. It'll be great and probably a lot easier if they can get in there battling for the championship. But first, they have to make it.
Yeah, and the tension is very, very high in the garage area. These teams feel it. I mean, if you make the chase, it can really make your season. If you miss it, it can be devastating to your team. So they know that. I think it's more pressure in there right now than it is for like running for the championship down toward the end. Just getting in is tremendous amount of pressure on these teams.
Sprint Cup racing lately has been about strategy. Crew chiefs making 2-tire and no-tire calls. You need 4 tires every chance you can here. Is there any strategy?
Well, there is strategy. It's not the same as what we've seen before on these other mile-and-a-halves, but you have some strategy available to you on how long you will stay on those set of sets of tires and when you'll make those pit stops. Will you make a quick pit stop and only run 30 laps or so, or will you try to extend it to, say, 50, 55 laps?
Yeah, and the drivers need to know this because they have to be on that same strategy, how hard they drive these cars.
It'll be a fun night to find out how hard they will drive over the course of a long run. Let's get it started.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome President and CEO of AdvoCare International, Richard Wright, and Distributor Relations for AdvoCare International, Shelley Wright.
On behalf of over 200,000 AdvoCare distributors nationwide, drivers, spark your engines!
Go ahead and crank it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you're ready, go ahead and fire it. I don't see this first run in fuel mileage deal. 10-4.
It is time to begin the AdvoCare 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Quick reminder, race fans, check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy and watch coverage tonight live from Atlanta by following your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. One of the drivers you can follow tonight is our ESPN in-race reporter, Martin Truex Jr. It's already been a big weekend for Martin. A contract extension with Michael Waltrip Racing and their Atlanta-based sponsor. And now a chance to try and get back to victory lane and clinch a place in the chase while doing so. We talk to Martin on the pace laps next.
Throughout NASCAR, there have been guys who naturally hog the spotlight. Then there's the other guys. They don't star in movies or date rock stars or even have all that much to say. They don't have time for all that. They're too busy racing. And hey, what do you know? The chase is full of them.
And as we wait for the cars to roll from the grid here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, when you think about a lot of the discussion surrounding the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, there are names who come up as favorites for the title. And there are guys flying under the radar like Martin Truex Jr., who, no, he's not knocking off a lot of wins, but each and every week he's somewhere up the front of the pack, and he's in contention for those wins. The victory's bound to come sometime soon. Tonight, he can clinch himself a place in the chase, and he's our ESPN in-race reporter. Dale?
Hey, Martin, Dale Jarrett, ESPN, you with us?
That's Dale.
Hey, Martin, we've been discussing, been a big week for you already. A new contract for you, Napa on board for a few more years with you, so a lot of good things happening for you. And our mailbag question goes that way, and this is via Twitter. Devin asked, you have a ride locked, or does knowing you have a ride locked up next year help you focus on the task ahead in the chase?
Yeah, for sure it does. We're so happy and so proud that Napa decided to come back with us. And, you know, we've done a good job with the race team and MWR, making our cars competitive and getting in position to get or make our first chase together. So it's great to get that out of the way. We can focus on racing now, and looking forward to hopefully locking that deal up tonight and having some fun when the chase starts.
Martin, I know you've had a fast race car most of the season. You were very fast Friday afternoon in practice. Qualifying didn't go as well as you wanted to, starting back in 28th now. Did you get your car where you wanted to yesterday in practice?
I think we made some good changes. I feel like we're in the ballpark. You know, found a good, happy spot to start the race. We obviously need some adjustability. There's no telling where this track's going to go. It's really, really slick, hard to get a hold of, and the tires are wearing out fast. So we'll keep an open mind here, see how the start plays out, and you know, Chad and the guys at pit's done an awesome job all year. Hopefully they'll tune this thing up for me, and we'll be at the front when the ends, and see if we can go get us a win.
All right, Martin, thanks for talking with us. We know it's a long race. We'll try to check back with you later on. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Chad Johnston.
Hey, Chad, it's Andy up in the booth. I want to congratulate you guys on such a good season so far. A very successful season. Looks like you're going to be in the chase, no problem. What other goals do you have for this team the rest of the way?
I mean, Andy, our goal was to make the chase, but when we get in that chase, we want to make some noise and let people know that we're there. So, you know, once we get locked into that chase, we're going to go after some wins and show people that we're a contender.
Yeah, Chad, today, and we're talking about tonight, will you play it kind of conservative to make sure you get locked into this chase, or are you going to kind of gamble a little bit and try to get that win you've been looking for this year?
We'll see what cards we're dealt. If we get an opportunity to get a win and lock ourselves in, obviously we're going to do that. We're starting back here at 28th, but we're going to work hard, get that Napa Shocks Toyota Camry up front, see if we can't get a win before we get out here tonight.
Okay, well, good luck. Thanks for talking to us, Chad.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Chad Johnson, Martin Truex Jr., our ESPN in-race reporters tonight. Truex gridded back 28th in the lineup. Our over-the-wall reporter is Kenyatta Houston, changing front tires for David Gilliland in the 38 car tonight.
Yes, sir.
He's going to change a lot of tires tonight during this race, too. Have a good night, Kenyatta.
Thank you.
Some great onboard views for you in high definition tonight from here in Atlanta. Danica Patrick has one of our cameras on board, the GoDaddy.com camera. Clint Boyer with a 5-hour energy on board. There's Kyle Busch with our Goodyear camera. And Jeff Gordon has the Sprint on board.
Once it got strung out after a restart, the preferred line seemed to be the bottom. Harvick was hooking his left front on the yellow line.
That's Jeff spotter Eddie DeHaan talking to him about some of what happened last night in the Nationwide Series race. Kevin Harvick has our Ream on board. Martin Truex Jr., the Toyota onboard camera. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the Chevy on board. And Carl Edwards has our Ford EcoBoost camera.
How's that weather look right now, Brian? Looks clear for the race. 10-4, thanks. Just keep an eye on it. You know, it was building and the chance has gone up a little bit the last couple hours.
We will keep an eye on the skies as well, but for now we're dry and one lap away from the start here in Atlanta. Tires will be a story tonight. Here's Shannon Spake with more.
That's right, Alan. The drivers love racing here at Atlanta, and one of the reasons is because of the track surface. It's rough, it's gritty, it's like sandpaper. Some actually compare it to the old Darlington. However, it's very rough on tires, as you just said. This is a tire from Friday's practice. This is a right rear. Goodyear said this is what it will look like after about 55 laps here today. You can see the tread wear indicators are almost gone. There's some cording and some chunks that came out. You take a look at it next to a fresh tire. Tire management is key here tonight. Vince Welch?
There are many drivers in various degrees of chase desperation, and none can avoid a penalty or afford a penalty on pit lane. Last night in the Nationwide Series race, there were 9 pit road speeding violations. This is one of the most difficult tracks to transition onto pit road. Get a speeding penalty here tonight, it could cost you the race and maybe even a spot in the chase. Dave Burns?
Win and almost in could be the pre-chase mantra for Kyle Busch here tonight. You see, a win won't clinch him in the chase outright with Newman and Gordon being so close in the wild card picture. But disaster, well, that opens the door big time for the others. Kyle starts third tonight with his chance to make it in. Mike Massaro?
Earlier this week, Carl Edwards said he looked at the calendar and realized that in just 1 week, the regular season would be over. With that, Edwards said his heart rate, it went up. Edwards knows to make the chase, he will likely need to win at least one of the next 2 races. Atlanta, though, does offer an opportunity. He's won here 3 times, and Edwards says it's this type of racetrack right now is what they need, Alan.
Mike, thanks. NASCAR has added a pace lap. Checking for a report of debris, also letting some of the smoke from some of the pre-race fireworks clear off this front stretch. And now we'll get one to go one more time. Now, statistical oddities show up every now and then, right? Driver who won this race the last 2 years started in 5th position. Starting 5th tonight, Jeff Gordon.
Guess that's where he started last year then, huh?
It was.
Yeah. Well, good omen for Jeff.
So 325 laps to make up the 500-mile distance on this 1.54-mile track. And we look at the top 4 qualifiers: Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth, and ask you which you think of those first 4 will be the highest finisher tonight. Text FAST to 34763 or go to AT&TFastestDriver.com to play. You can have a chance to win 4 Gs by playing the AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. Every week, you can have a chance to make your pick and see where you stack up against the rest. Tony Stewart, as the pole sitter, has chosen the outside lane for the start.
They got a water bottle here they got to pick up on.
Imagine that already. Yeah.
I guess he wasn't kidding, but it kind of sounded like he was.
Oh, boy.
In reference to last night's little controversy.
Yeah, this is different than what we saw. Every restart, the leader chose, I believe, except for Travis Pastrana chose the outside, but every other leader chose the inside last night. And but Tony Stewart also used the high line to win the pole the other day, and he credited his teammate Ryan Newman for helping him do that.
So much on the line. First and foremost, a win at a tough and difficult track that's fun but challenging. Places in the chase to be clinched, places in the chase to be earned for a number of drivers. How's it all going to unfold? Time to start finding out. Green flag coming up from Atlanta. Greg Biffle to lead lap 1, but Tony Stewart looks like he wants that top spot back.
It's like that might not have been a good choice for Tony Stewart to take that outside lane. Greg Biffle got the advantage in turn 1.
Big run by Stewart off of turn 2 this time, though.
Looks like he took that lead on purpose, didn't he?
Tony Stewart's car's been good since he first went on the racetrack on Friday afternoon in practice.
Greg Biffle settles second, Matt Kenseth third, Jeff Gordon fourth, double wide for fifth, Kyle Busch 18, Denny Hamlin 11. And way up the top of the racetrack, Jimmy Johnson, the 5-time champ.
Yeah, and that's not as high as we're going to see these drivers and cars get tonight, especially down in turns 1 and 2. Before it's over, they'll be right against the wall.
Second place here, Biffle, Kenseth, and Gordon.
Jeff Gordon, another one of those drivers that showed up high on the charts every single time that these cars went for practice or obviously in qualifying. Felt like his chances were really good here tonight to get that second victory that he so desperately needs.
Yeah, this track is a lot like we keep saying old Darlington, but that track was completely worn out. Jeff was so good there. And you can see just how he's sawing that wheel, working that car. He's able to make that work.
This is what makes this such a tough 500 miles. Very physical racetrack. You have 24 degrees of banking in the corner that really slams you down. A lot of bumps in the corners and no grip. You really have to work hard as a driver. You're pretty exhausted when this thing's over.
Already pedaling the gas pedal a little bit, just 5 laps into the race.
Yeah, those seams we'll talk more about, as you can see, as you cross those, especially on the exit of the corner. You have to be extremely careful. Make sure you're going straight, and that can sometimes make you get out of the throttle if you have to cross over that.
Losing a couple spots, Joey Logano in the 20, losing 1 to Eric Almirola, able to hold off Sam Hornish in that 22. Logano's been a bit under the weather leading into the weekend.
Yeah, didn't practice either practice session yesterday in this car because he was under the weather. Had Michael McDowell in the car making some laps for them.
For second place, here comes Jeff Gordon, 24.
Boy, his car looked really good right there on the bottom. Kind of like what we saw Harvick's car look like last night. He kind of dominated the nationwide race till the very end when he got beat by Ricky Stenhouse.
And again, side by side for a spot, Hamlin 11, Kyle Busch 18. I thought Denny Hamlin's car looked really good in practice here last night too.
Yeah, he was one of the cars and drivers that a lot of the other drivers talked to me about. You can see right there, gets really loose though when his teammate Kyle Busch ran up on his back bumper.
Jimmy Johnson joining the fight.
Once you have to crack the throttle a little bit, especially off of these corners, it just costs you so much momentum, and this is a momentum track. Just really good to see. Fun racing to watch. And as a driver, I always enjoyed this where you can make a difference in somebody's race car in front of you because you're losing so much grip with the tires. You don't have that, so you could run up there, never touch anybody, but get him out of shape, then you drive by them. That only made them half mad.
Half mad?
I was going to ask you, what's the etiquette on that?
Yeah. So Jeff Gordon to second, trying to chase down Tony Stewart for the lead. While that race for 5th position a minute ago maybe made Denny half mad. Gotta load.
Gotta go.
Outside 11.
Just underway at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Our telecast tonight presented by Pennzoil. There is a new leader of this race. The defending winner, Jeff Gordon, just went by Tony Stewart a couple of laps ago.
All clear, all clear. Nice work, bud. That's the way to make a statement.
A statement.
I don't know if he needs to make a statement. He's made quite a few, about, 85 times in this series. But he does need a win very bad, and he's running good, but mirror's getting filled up with Kyle Busch coming fast now.
Yep, Kyle just got by Tony Stewart also and is closing quickly for the race lead. This is a car that this crew had to basically rebuild, Dave, after a practice incident yesterday.
The biggest problem, Alan, was the rear end housing. After you smack the wall like that, you move things around, you can crack them, and to be able to still have this car have decent drive and reliability for 500 miles, that was one area they definitely focused on.
Kyle's focused on going to the front.
Two drivers needing a win here tonight. It'd be huge for either one of them, with both of them having one victory, trying to make it in on the wild card.
I walked by this 18 car in the garage area this afternoon, and Dave Rogers was standing by the right side watching. His crew members were buffing and fluffing and just honing that body work as best they could after Kyle got into the wall during the final practice. They got the car back out and got some more practice in, but then did the work to make it as good as it possibly could be before the start of tonight's race. It hasn't worked out bad for him so far, I'd say.
So they did a pretty nice job of repairing that thing.
On board Kevin Harvick. That's a team that had a lot of high hopes for tonight's race.
Yeah, I talked to Gil Martin in the garage area just earlier today. They were so dominant in that nationwide race last night, Kevin was, and I was talking to Gil about it. He said they learned some things from that Cup car that helped them last night.
While we watched Denny Hamlin take second place from Jeff Gordon. So Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas running 1 and 2.
Talking to Denny some earlier this week, kind of coach function we were both at and doing things, and really just talking to Denny about the confidence level coming up, the commitment that he's really made to be a part of this chase, and not just be a part of it, but to get that first championship. And he's really, really excited about the opportunity that he sees in front of him here this year.
Last week's winner at Bristol, last weekend's winner, Denny Hamlin.
Jeff Gordon has slipped back now a couple spots. He looked great right there off the break. He took the lead away from Tony Stewart, but now he's lost a few spots, Ben.
That's right, Andy, and in fact, Jeff says it's just gotten a little bit too loose, especially through 1 and 2. It jumps around on him as he gets back on the throttle. Says it's okay as he rolls it in, but when he goes to get on the throttle, the back end wants to jump on him. That's why he started to fall back a little.
And that's what you were talking about, the strategies that the different teams might be on as far as how far they're going to run. And as a driver, you can go out there and run hard for 10 laps, and it might feel great, but you're going to really pay the price these next 30, possibly 40 laps that you have to stay out there.
Yeah, we saw Gordon really sawing the wheel early in the race, trying to get that lead, and it worked at the time, but did he pay too big of a price?
Looking a little further back in the field, Clint Boyer in the 15 car qualified not as well as he would have liked, and then things got worse. Qualified 30th and then had to start last because they had to change the engine in this 15 car before the race. And so that kicked Clint, by NASCAR rule, to the back of the field for the green flag. However, things have taken a swing for the better as we take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint Cup network. Boyer has been the biggest mover in the race so far. Has picked up to 21st spot and racing for 20th there with Ryan Newman. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with live in-car audio, real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app, only from Sprint. Get the app and learn more about Sprint's truly unlimited data plan at sprint.com/speed. Racing for 20th place after starting in the back, Dave.
and the team keeps encouraging him with the X number of best lap, this lap, or, you know, 6 best this lap or something like that, just to keep him motivated as he drives forward. Talked to his crew chief, Brian Patty, about that motor change. He said, yeah, we had some human error following practice, and we realized that we'd done something. We needed to change that motor and even take our lumps and go to the back of the pack. But so far, he's been really good.
Well, he's halfway through the field.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job. And, you know, because they didn't qualify all that well, I think they were 30th. So it wasn't probably a difficult decision to make that change.
Didn't have to give up a lot to do that. And I tell you what, though, we're going to see a lot more Clint Boyer. I've been watching his lap times, just like we heard his crew chief say. He's been pumping him up with those times. It has been. I see a few times he's been about the 3rd quickest car on the track.
The quickest car on the track is driven by Kyle Busch, out in front of the race, with his teammate Denny Hamlin trying to close in from 2nd spot. And we are just in the early moments of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series AdvoCare 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Top 2, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, have put quite a gap on 3rd place Jeff Gordon. And even the guys that are up front and pulling away have got their hands full on this very tricky racetrack as we're now 30 laps into a run.
Yeah, and this just doesn't go away. This is just such a fast racetrack. The banking, 24 degrees of banking in the corners, makes a difference. You can watch Kyle Busch here. We ride along with him. Have to work the steering wheel. I mean, that's a big turn to the right when you're in the middle of the corner. You can see, even as he gets on the straightaway, he has his hands full driving this race car, and he's the leader of the race. Imagine what the rest of them are doing.
And by the way, that was at 146 miles an hour when he made that hard turn to the right to try and keep control of his car.
I was watching that telemetry. He wasn't able to get all the way wide open on the throttle till he was completely straight.
So Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, 1 and 2. They pulled away from 3rd place Jeff Gordon by nearly 5 seconds. Moving forward and really on the move late in this long green flag run, Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's got the best car right now after they've run 30 laps. He's, for about the last 5-6 laps in a row, he's had the fastest car on the track. That's a good sign for if we have a long run and these guys stay out there a while. He's, like I said, he's about 10 seconds back, but his car's really strong right now.
Boy, the races, Sprint Cup races we've covered so far here at ESPN, we haven't said much about Harvick and how fast he's been, the speed he's had. This is nice to see this team making a rebound as it gets time for the chase. You talked about them being in a situation of having no wins and sitting there in 9th in the points, but this would sure be a big shot in the arm for this group.
Had an eyeful of Jimmy Johnson sideways in front of him coming off turn 2 a second ago. So Harvick moving forward late in this long green flag run, moving backwards. Casey Kane in the 5 car, Vince.
Yeah, it certainly has been a struggle for Kane, not just this weekend, but certainly during this race. You see, there's the battle for the lead. Denny Hamlin in the 11 going by his teammate Kyle Busch. Hamlin taking the lead here at Atlanta. Back to Casey Kane. Been a struggle for them this weekend, and they have dropped 16 spots here at the outset of the race, now running 27.
Danny, I think it's the left front shock. What's your thought on it? You mean we need to do something with the factor in it? No, I'm saying that's why I'm so loose. The softness.
They built a lot of adjustability into this car. Sounds like they're going to need it.
All right, Vince. So Kane really sliding around here as we come up on what we think will be the first round of green flag pit stops very quickly here.
Yeah, I think in the next few laps we'll see some of the cars, some of the leaders actually hit pit road. We've seen a lot of cars out of shape. Jimmy Johnson's been sideways. The 55's been sideways a few times here. We watched Mark Martin trying to work the bottom. But there'll be some guys really wanting tires right now. They're about 3 seconds plus slower per lap than they were on their fastest laps to start the race.
Greg Biffle, remember, started in that 16 car on the front row, has slipped all the way back to 8th place with Mark Martin getting by him for the number 7 spot. Tony Stewart started first, and he's just lost a spot to Martin Truex Jr. That puts Tony back in 15th place, Mike.
And Tony was a little bit concerned before the race, Alan, talking to him because he didn't know exactly what to expect based upon what transpired in practice. Didn't get a chance to make a lot of long runs. So there were a lot of unknowns coming into this race. Right now, the problem he's dealing with, no side bite in the corners when he puts wheel into it.
So Tony,
Get motor getting into the center.
Yeah, I was going to say he's talking about no side bite into the corners, especially. You can't attack the racetrack then, and you have to leave yourself so much room, especially if you're running the top side of the racetrack away from the wall and be able to carry the speed that then is going to be better for you.
Trouble for Eric Almirola.
4,000, what do you get here? 4,000 at the cone.
Saw that great piece on Richard Petty earlier in NASCAR Countdown. Caution is going to come out. Concern for fluid from this 43 car. And instead of a run on green flag pit stops.
Whatever it is must be covering the right front because it will not turn.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, he's got some kind of either oil leak or something wrong with the engine that's leaking oil on that right front tire.
Yeah, and he was still on the racetrack through 3 and 4, and that's where a lot of the drivers are running, is that bottom group. So NASCAR had no choice but to get this thing cleaned up on the racetrack before we had somebody spin.
And when they take that right front tire off that 43 car, they'll be able to look at it and see if there's in fact fluid on it.
That could be an oil line, could be an oil cooler, could be any number of things. Let's see if they can run it down. I'm sure he's checked all the vital signs on the engine as far as the gauges go. Looked like it was running fine, but it just was smoking, and like you said, it couldn't steer it because it was sliding the right front.
I don't know about you, but riding around that infield from the garage out to the broadcast booth earlier today, those folks were having a good time this Labor Day weekend. Time to go to work for the pit crews. Just past 50 miles in this event, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Marcos Ambrose, and Kevin Harvick, the top 5, late in that long green flag run. Here they come, Vince.
Jeff Gordon going to be the first to hit the box down in this section. He says it's just real loose on the exit and he lost his drive off. Going to be a 4-tire change. Also going to make a wedge adjustment, track bar adjustment, and air pressure in the right rear as well. Shannon?
Marcos Ambrose, lower left-hand side, little snug, but he said no changes, 4 tires, made his way into the top 5. Dave.
Leader Kyle Busch needs Sunoco fuel. He'll take 4 tires, slight air pressure adjustment because he needs more front turn, more rear lateral grip. As for the 11 of Denny Hamlin, no changes, running second. He takes 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Alan?
Lead change on the pit lane. And troubles for Marcos Ambrose with his stop.
Oh, lost 6 spots.
Long stop for Casey Kane. Vince reported on his struggles just before the yellow flag. The crew taking some extra time to give that 5 a good inspection, see if they can uncover whatever the problem is. First caution out at Atlanta. Kyle Busch back to the lead.
There's nothing like a new pair of shoes, all shiny, with soles that bounce. There's nowhere you can't go. But there's nothing worse than when shoes go bad. A popped lace, a scratch here, a hole there. Next thing you know, you're limping, just trying to get back to the store for new ones. Ah, that feels better, now doesn't it?
These race cars have some new shoes on them now as we get set for the restart here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway from the first caution and first round of pit stops for the night.
Yeah, if these drivers had their way, that'd happen about every 15 laps. They could get some new ones, but it won't be quite that often.
Scott Speed got the free pass at the yellow flag, just taking waiver rounds to get a lap back for Scott Riggs and Jason Leffler. And we are set to go racing with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin side by side on the front row for the green.
You can see Marcos Ambrose a little bit loose there in the middle coming off the corner. Everybody made it. Mark's not finished making up time up there.
Check that out. Mark Martin sliding up in front of him. Kyle Busch to the lead. Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin race for second. Kevin Harvick is 4th behind them.
I'll tell you what, that first run, Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer really caught my attention for having good cars on the long run. That was very impressive what both of them did.
You know, you talked about earlier running hard on tires and maybe using up a little too much and then having to pay the price for that later on. You just saw Tony Stewart.
That's a good example, but yeah, you can do a lot of that up top a little bit more. If you try to run that bottom where you have to put a little bit more input into the wheel, you're scrubbing off some speed, you're sliding a little bit more to maintain there. That's a little harder on the tires, but you have to be careful on the top side too, because you can just wear them out quicker than what you want to.
Kurt Busch 51, Jeff Burton 31, Juan Pablo Montoya 42. That's a little close quarters. It's back for 17th, 18th, and 19th.
You can see just in front of that up there, Tony Stewart already starting to lose some spots that he made up on that restart. But yeah, Smoke probably knows that right now his car is not the best on the long run. He had to get what he could on that restart.
Yeah, Tony's car seems to go away real quickly, too. It's not like it's, 10 or 12, 15 laps into the run. It goes away after about 3 or 4 laps.
Big bobble there for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Looked like his car bottomed out.
And we're going to see these drivers trying to get that left front down there on that yellow line, if not a little bit below it at times. But you get down there a little too far, and you can hit the splitter, and that really upsets.
Jeff Gordon by Greg Biffle for 5th. Remember in the opening run of the race, Gordon very fast for a while, and then it gave up, and he slipped back. Also in that opening run, we really saw Greg Biffle kind of struggle in that 16 car, Shannon.
That's right, Alan. He started second on the front row and immediately radioed in and said, I need more turn. On that pit stop, they did make a wedge adjustment. But remember, this race is all about wins for Greg Biffle. He's already in the chase. They want those bonus points. In fact, this car is kind of a throwaway car. As crew chief said, we don't need it moving forward for the chase. Go out there and just win.
That's the luxury they have by being
the thing
in
about
the chase.
These throwaway cars, though, you go and win with it, then what do?
Yeah.
You can't throw it away then.
Yeah. Stewart sliding back. Dale Jr. 88 moving forward, taking a spot from Tony. That'd be 16th place. Jr. started way back in 35th.
Everything I've gained in 2 laps, I've already lost it.
I think I fly for 2 laps.
There's only one problem.
Yeah. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to make some kind of adjustment. And the part that's really discouraging is when you have a car that has this kind of characteristic, it's pretty hard to adjust it back out of it.
So Stewart back to 17th spot, Mike.
Yeah, and as Andy was talking about what they need to do to this race car, I'll tell you what, they did a lot on that last stop. They lowered the track bar, added some wedge, made an air pressure adjustment, obviously 4 tires and fuel, and you've heard how it's responded. Right now, they're obviously not getting out of that car what they had hoped.
So we'll keep an eye on the next set of pit stops for this 14 and see if they throw the book at it again.
Yeah, we talked about how fast and slick this place is. It'll just magnify your problems, too, to the point that you just can't hardly go.
Mile-and-a-half tracks make up 5 of the 10 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Remember how hot Tony was at the end of last season? Won the first mile-and-a-half track race to start this year at Las Vegas. But since then, they have not gotten the results that they had been getting at the end of last year on this configuration of Speedway. There's your race leader, Kyle Busch, out in front of tonight's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series event at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Not quite 100 miles of the 500 complete, just 1 caution so far in the race and 1 round of pit stops for all these drivers. Second place has changed hands. Jimmy Johnson on the move.
Yeah, I really expected Jimmy Johnson to be the person to beat here tonight with what we've seen aero-wise with their race car, horsepower that they have, what we saw at Michigan until he blew up right in the last 5 laps. Really figured with all of that combination and, of course, the way Jimmy Johnson drives a race car, and they may be right there tonight. They're running second already.
And he's had his share of success at this racetrack, certainly also. Remember in that opening run, Jimmy's car moved up. Then toward the end of the 35 laps or so on the set of tires, really started sliding around though.
There he goes. Let's see it up there.
Denny Hamlin did a nice job there, taking that second spot back away. Got a big run off of turn 2, got close down the back straightaway, and was able to get to the inside before they got to turn 3.
And there goes Kevin Harvick. So Johnson goes from 3rd to 4th.
If you get in a situation like that, Dale, when you're trying to conserve your tires, you got 2 guys behind you kind of chewing on your rear bumper, that you go, hey, if I just back off here and not push it, trying to stay in front of them, I might be able to extend the life of them.
Yeah, it just makes it difficult. And you do have to do that and say, if I stay here, then I'm going to fall back even further.
So there are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Casey Kane, story we've been following, falling backwards in the opening run of the race. Vince, he's running 26 now.
Yeah, he's having all kind of problems, guys. You know, on that first pit stop, they unhooked the rear bar, made a track bar adjustment, air pressure, and right now he says it's not a whole lot better. He said he's so bound up in the right rear, it's just rolling over too much. They're talking about taking a spring rubber out on the next time, but Kenny Francis, the crew chief, and Keith Rodden, the engineer, they got their hands full with this race car right now, as does, of course, Casey Kane.
Yeah, they do. They're 2nd off the leader's pace right now, so they've got a lot of work to do.
And we're not even 100 miles into the race. That's going to be a long night for those guys. Kyle Busch, 2nd in the wild card standings coming into the night, with a chance on 2 fronts to make the chase. He's still close enough with 2 races to go that he could get into the top 10 on points. And also, if he can find a way to pick up another win or 2, certainly very possible with his record here in Atlanta and at Richmond next week, he can claim one of those 2 wild card spots and have a shot at the championship. There's the gap. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now 5th place, Jeff Gordon, who's 5.5 seconds behind the leader.
We're missing something there, guys. We're not making it any better on the exit, just tightening up the middle. 4-4, work on something else. Stay with it. It's just...
Well, one of the things that can happen, you got a car that's loose off the corner on the throttle. You try to do some things, conventional things that would tighten it up, and what you do is you end up making it worse through the middle, and then you still don't have that grip off the corner. It actually can make it worse. So that was good information, and for Alan Gustafson, probably the best thing to do would be to go the other way, actually free the car through the middle, and it might even tighten up off the corner.
These race cars can be aggravating things to work on, huh?
They're temperamental sometimes, especially here.
And Clint Boyer has raced his way all the way up into 10th position. Are they happy or are they aggravated in that 15 pit, Dave?
Yeah, after starting 42nd, Alan, his drive forward could have hit a snag. It just depends. Right now, crew chief Brian Patty has been in conference with his team. Car chief, guys, we're going to go over the wall here. That's because Clint radioed in and said, I got lights flashing, I got low voltage. They told him to switch to the second battery, the B battery. And Andy, here's some info for you. He restarted with the B battery at 9 volts. He has since reported it came up to 12. Is that going to make it?
That's a good sign. If it came up any, that means that it is charging some. It may be intermittent, but that's a good sign that it actually came up.
Brad Keselowski 2, Greg Biffle 16. That's 7th place that just changed hands.
Motor's not running very good. Something's wrong with it. When I push the throttle down on partial throttle. All right, 10-4.
So the update there from the driver of the 16.
I tell you, this racetrack will make you think you have so many problems in so many different areas because it's just so slick. Your times fall down so much. You go to hit the throttle and you just can't make it work all the time. So it just drives you crazy.
Yeah, what happens is you get the car that's, when it slows down so much, we're talking 6-7 miles an hour, they're off of their fastest times. That changes the RPM range the motor's in. It can change the sound of it, change the way it feels. And they're not saying there's not something wrong, but it can throw you a false sense of something being wrong under the hood.
Eric Almirola had gone to the garage after bringing out the caution earlier. He's just come back onto the racetrack. No troubles for Kyle Busch so far. He's led the most laps tonight in Atlanta. We take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint Network. 6 lead changes so far in the race, and the driver who has done most of the leading tonight is Kyle Busch, out in front for 52 of the 73 circuits that we have run so far. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app only from Sprint. Get the app and learn more about Sprint's truly unlimited data plan at sprint.com/speed. There is the race for the lead. Kyle Busch 18, Denny Hamlin 11, first to second. As these last several laps have gone on, Hamlin closing in a little bit, but Kyle's been out in front for most of the race so far, Dave.
He's in the lead now, Alan. Got some conditions with his car that he's trying to relay to crew chief Dave Rogers. Dave and Kyle talking back and forth in code, but they're not quite on the same page. Listen.
How much rear adjustment did you give me?
I took a half pound out of the right front and made the same adjustment we did at Indy.
I wish I remember what that was. From my text last night, was that the same thing?
No, I worked in a different area.
Perhaps they'll speak clearly before the next pit stop and give Kyle everything he needs.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to give a lot of that stuff away on the radio, but, you know, other times it's, hey, let's just talk about what we need and don't confuse ourselves.
In traffic, Hamlin closes in even more, putting David Gilliland a lap down. Actually putting David a second lap down. 38 car back in 32nd place.
Now, these cars have remained on the bottom of the racetrack, and I'd say I'm a little surprised, especially down in this part of the racetrack, down in turns 1 and 2. You see Kyle get down and actually scraping the splitter a little bit as he gets down there, but I thought they would be up high in 1 and 2 and on the bottom in 3 and 4. Even after watching Kevin Harvick last night, I thought the extra horsepower would force them up to the top side.
Now here are two of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas running 1 and 2. A third of their cars is running back in 13th place. Joey Logano behind the wheel of that car. Mike's been feeling under the weather a lot this weekend.
Yeah, you might want to say he's been down a cylinder this weekend himself. Either food poisoning or a stomach virus he was dealing with all weekend. So much, in fact, Michael McDowell was the guy behind the wheel during practice on Saturday afternoon. He's on the pit box right now, standing by just in case he has to relieve Joey Logano. In fact, his seat is in that race car in case he has to make that adjustment. I spoke with the team this morning, though, and they feel like Joey Logano is strong enough to go deep into this race. So a replacement not imminent at the moment.
McDowell didn't qualify for the race in the car he was entered to drive, and talked to a couple of guys on that 20 crew. They were very impressed with the feedback that Michael gave them in the practice sessions here yesterday.
Yeah, Michael McDowell's a good race driver. I don't know that he's gotten the opportunity in first-class equipment like what he was in there yesterday. You see Hamlin close in as Kyle had a little problem passing the lap car.
Remember the lead change between these two on the only set of pit stops in the race so far. We're coming up on what would be another round of pit stops, and these may happen under green very shortly. Kevin Harvick creeping in on these top two to make it a three-way race for the lead here in Atlanta in the early going. Back in Atlanta, green flag pit stops have begun. The leader, Kyle Busch, is on the pit road, 42 laps after he last stopped, Dave.
Here's Kyle now, a 4-tire change. You see the wrench going in the rear window. There'll be a chassis adjustment this time. Apparently they had cleared up what it is that they want with their race car. He'll get a full can of Sunoco fuel, 2 of them in fact, and 4 fresh tires.
Marcus Ambrose on pit road. He says his car is tight, center, and the left front is sliding. You see that chassis adjustment, the wedge in the back window, 4 tires Sunoco fuel. Mike.
Carl Edwards has been tight throughout the course of the evening, although after the last pit stop they did make it better. Still, he thinks the splitter is hitting a little bit on that run. They'll make a chassis adjustment, also a 4-tire change, and Sunoco race fuel for Carl Edwards. Dave?
Denny Hamlin having a great night. Left side wedge adjustment for the race car. Just a little bit loose right now. 4 tires and fuel. Vince?
There you see Jeff Gordon. They're just finishing up his stop. It's a 4-tire change. Air pressure adjustment in the left rear for Gordon.
Tony Stewart radioed in not too long ago saying he's having trouble landing, entering the corner. They're going to try to make an adjustment. They took a very big swing at it last time. We'll pay close attention to see what they do this time. Team working on the right side, expecting a 4-tire change, also an air pressure adjustment and a chassis adjustment. You see the wrench going in now as they try to dial in that race car for Tony Stewart. It hasn't been as good as they expected when they started on the pole this evening.
as happens when these green flag pit stops happen here in Atlanta. Everybody's in within a few laps. There have been a pile of pit road speeding penalties called out by NASCAR on their radio. I'll double check and confirm them and recap them for you in a moment. But this should cycle back around to Kyle Busch leading Denny Hamlin after the stops. There's Kyle. His lead over Denny, 1.2 seconds, with Kevin Harvick still in third after the round of green flag pit stops.
Harvick stayed out an extra lap and pitted after Kyle, and Denny pitted so he could lead a lap and get that bonus point.
So the pit road speeding penalties that I said were a pile of them was actually one. He was just speeding in a pile of zones on pit road. Juan Pablo Montoya, too fast in zones 3, 4, and 5 on the pit lane.
Well, if you're going to speed, you might as well get it through there as fast as you possibly can. It's no more of a penalty, so get it on. He just came down and made his pass through back on the racetrack now.
He was 21st before the penalty. So I don't see any major changes of running order as a result of those green flag pit stops besides the Montoya penalty.
Jimmie Johnson lost a lot of time on that green flag stop. Had some trouble on the left side.
Lost time, didn't lose position.
Yeah, didn't lose position, but did lose a lot of time.
Yep, he's fallen 12 seconds behind the leader. But other than that, mostly everyone held serve there. And Hamlin still stalking his teammate Kyle Busch for the lead. Casey Kane in that 5 car, now no longer on the lead lap.
This is the best we've seen Hamlin's car take off. Of course, it's a little different situation than just being on the restart, but having the fresh tires, because he came back out, it looked like Kyle had gained quite a bit on him, a little over a second from whenever they made their pit stops. Now he's taking the lead.
Maybe not for long. Whoa, 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 look out. Last thing you want to do in that situation is get the bumper into the back of your teammate accidentally.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that, but I thought that he might have remembered earlier in the race when Kyle ran up on his bumper and didn't touch him, but got him extremely loose.
He might remember that later in the race.
That's right.
When it counts.
Put a marker in his book.
Yeah. Don't want to use that up right now.
Mentioned Jimmie Johnson lost time. He was 4 seconds behind the leaders before the pit stop. He's 12 seconds behind now. So he lost 8 seconds on that pit stop. And look who's just in front of the leaders. Tony Stewart started on pole position for this race. That's amazing. What a struggle it's been tonight.
Yeah, it really has, and I don't think that Tony expected this. Talking to everybody earlier, they seemed to think that the car was okay.
Whoa, 18 kind of had to check up there in the middle of the corner.
You can see as these drivers get closer to the car right in front of them, they lose the front end a lot of times, and Kyle's car went up the track, looked like he couldn't get it turned back down and just had to wait on the throttle.
There are the bottom part of the top 10 and the wild card contenders.
You know, Stewart's the best thing going for him is that Casey Kane is struggling tonight also, so he's not getting any closer to taking over and losing that spot that he's got in the top 10 right now.
Yeah. And with 3 wins this season, if Tony somehow gets bumped out of the top 10, he's going to be in the chase, but he loses
9 valuable points for those wins because there's 3 points each, and as Tony well knows, every point's extremely valuable, as ended up tied last year.
It's funny, Tony was asked about that, and he said, well, you know, we won it last year without having any bonus points to start with, but obviously your preference would be to have them if you got them. Denny Hamlin, one of the hottest drivers on mile-and-a-half tracks this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. He won on the half mile in Bristol, Tennessee last Saturday night. He's out front tonight here in Atlanta. Denny Hamlin leading at Atlanta. Race fans, check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch coverage live from the track tonight. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. One of those cameras would show you Kevin Harvick creeping in on Kyle Busch for second place as Kyle has fallen back from Denny Hamlin's bumper after giving up the lead to Denny.
Well, I'd have to say that this set of tires or an adjustment they made on this 18 car is probably not making Kyle Busch very happy right now.
So the one in which they were talking about code, about which area of the car to work in from Indy, and
yeah, I think they're going to have to get back to just speaking English.
Carl Edwards, 99. Marcos Ambrose, 9. Couple of the drivers trying to fight for that wild card place in the chase. Right now they're fighting for 13th spot on the track. Gonna have to do better than that. So Edwards and Ambrose racing 26 seconds, nearly a lap now behind the race leader Denny Hamlin. After taking the top spot, Hamlin has pulled away from Kyle Busch by 2.7 seconds. There's Hamlin.
He just put Dale Earnhardt Jr. a lap down.
Yeah. So again, 2.7 seconds back to Kyle Busch. Kevin Harvick running third. Jimmy Johnson now 13 seconds behind, and yet running in 4th place as we go up to speed. Vince, how about this 48 car?
Yeah, the big issue for Jimmy Johnson in the 48 right now, a 3-time winner here at Atlanta, is the fact that he just doesn't have the side bite that he needs. They made a right rear shock adjustment on that last pit stop, but Jimmy still says he's got the same issue. The 24 of Jeff Gordon darted to the front early in the race and led some laps, but since then, Gordon has been struggling a bit with the handling. That last pit stop, he said, it started tight and then it just went way loose. They made a wedge and track bar adjustment to try to help him out. Shannon?
Well, Martin Truex Jr.'s biggest obstacle for the first 100 laps was track position. He started 28th because they had a right rear shock issue in qualifying, but they knew that the car was good, and you could see that right now as he has worked his way to 6th. The car feels great underneath that 56 for Martin Truex Jr. Dave?
Shannon, after the first pit stop, Brad Keselowski radioed, and the changes were awesome. The car is really underneath him. Now, the last time he checked, they didn't change anything, and right now he says, I'm lacking stability. Not happy with that race car. Clint Boyer, somewhat happier. He radioed in before the pit stop that I'm getting 12.5 volts to that battery right now. That's a good sign. On that last pit stop, another good sign. No changes. He's running and balanced very well. Mike?
Dave, over the last week or so, there's been a lot of conversation about who might be driving this 22 in the future. Unfortunately for Sam Hornish, his name has not figured prominently in those discussions. He's trying to showcase his talent tonight. He's been running up in the top 10 most of the evening, just a little bit free. They made an air pressure adjustment on the last stop, trying to tighten him up, Shannon.
Well, Greg Biffle, your points leader coming into this race, you heard him say a little bit earlier in the race that the motor sounded funny and felt funny. His crew chief asked if it was still doing that. He said, no, it's just not very good. And the car isn't very good either. He is struggling with handling. It's loose, and he's really struggling with right rear grip. Now, as far as Mark Martin, lots of trouble in practice. They were still able to qualify 6th for this race. Rodney Childers told me this is the best car he's had at Atlanta. His driver's pretty good, too, at this track. He has 51 starts here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Guys?
All right, Shannon, also on the lead lap, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Marcos Ambrose, Jeff Burton, Paul Menard, Joey Logano, and Ryan Newman, and that's it. A fast pace set by the leaders. Most of the guys running out in front have been driving Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas. Kyle Busch. I hear he's cheering for Tech.
Yeah, goes out on the limb.
Well, just past 150 miles tonight at the AdvoCare 500 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Denny Hamlin is out in front. He's opened up a 2.9 second lead on a new second place driver. Kevin Harvick has just passed Kyle Busch for the number 2 position. Joey Logano being put a lap down by the race leader, Mike.
Yeah, and as we reported not too long ago, his illness, well, the situation has not improved. In fact, it's gotten worse. His cool box is starting to fail, and obviously that's not good when you've got a stomach virus. Still, he says he's committed to this race and is staying in the seat.
Man, it just makes it difficult, and a lot of these drivers stay in great physical condition. I'm sure Joey does too, but when you get down like that, once you start breaking down physically, getting a little bit tired, things aren't working, boy, then you start losing your focus mentally, and you have to have all 100% focus here to go around this racetrack fast.
And then on top of that, you got Murphy working on the car. Cool box goes out.
Yeah. So Logano goes a lap down in 16th place. Check the gap. Denny Hamlin back to the new second place runner. Continues to be an impressive night for Kevin Harvick in this 29 car. And that's not a phrase we've attached to this 29 car for a good chunk of this season. Impressive.
I'm not surprised, though, because he ran so good last night. Like I said, I talked to Gil Martin, and he said that they had learned some things with the Cup car practice. They applied to the Nationwide car, and then he was just dominant. I mean, all night long, just absolutely. He pulled out to like 13-second lead at one time. So I was kind of looking for this kind of performance out of this team tonight.
Warm and steamy night here in Hampton, Georgia at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where the second to last race before the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup unfolds on the fast mile-and-a-half Atlanta Motor Speedway track, a track that eats up tires, makes the cars slip and slide all over the place, and is a full night's work for the drivers behind the wheel at top speed. Kyle Busch has led the most laps tonight. Denny Hamlin is out in front now. We've had just one caution for fluid from Aric Almirola's car, and we're coming up on what should be another round of green flag pit stops shortly. Speaking of slipping and sliding, there's a good illustration of that from Kevin Harvick, Vince.
Yeah, that's right. Harvick has been fighting it a little bit here, especially in this loose run. He says it's loose in and tight off. So that's what he's been dealing with, although it's been loose off a couple of times. At least that's the way it's looked. One of the things they've done, though, is they've gone back toward last year's setups with the return of Gil Martin as crew chief. They said that's going to have been their starting baseline, and they've been working from there. They think by the time they get to Chicago, they're going to be in a lot better shape than they are now, but they feel like they're gaining on it.
So Harvick with his hands full there, despite the fact that he's running second. Another round of green flag pit stops begins. Shannon?
Guys, Greg Biffle not happy with his race car. He says it's sliding the front, it's sliding the rear. They're going to get aggressive. They're going to put a spring rubber in the right rear. They're also going to make an air pressure adjustment on the car. 4 tires, obviously, for the 16 team. Sunoco fuel as well. Guys?
How about the little LED lights in the visor of the helmets so the tire changers can see what they're doing for a night race?
Yeah, that was one of the most challenging things of these night races. You can't see up in those black wheels, and so you get brake dust on all the lug nuts. It's really hard to see the lug nut.
Marcos Ambrose, Jeff Burton, Joey Logano, Jamie McMurray in. Shannon?
Marcos Ambrose is going to come down. He's going to take 4 tires, and they're going to make a track bar adjustment. He says the car is getting better, but it's still loose. Mike?
Jeff Burton complaining that the car's been tight most of the evening. They're going to try to make some adjustments to free him up ever so slightly. He's on pit road looking for a 4-tire change. Dave? My jerk can is frozen.
Tony Stewart started on pole, now running a lap down after really struggling with this car and struggling on this pit stop. I shouldn't say struggling, adjusting under the right rear of that car on this pit stop. Mike?
Yeah, and Tony Stewart has been complaining they've been really getting beat going into the corner. That's been their biggest problem. They'll try to help him out here on this stop.
Casey Kane has struggled. Green flag pit stop for him. Ryan Newman, one of the guys hoping to stay in contact for that spot in the chase. Dave, he's had a tough night so far.
And confused right now about his race car. He radioed in, do what you need to do. I can't tell you. So they're going to put 4 fresh Goodyears on it for sure. Fill him full of Sunoco fuel. But we'll see what happens with him. Tony Gibson not really sure what his driver needs, Alan.
All right, Denny Hamlin continues to stay on track. More green flag pit stops. There's Dale Jr.
Yeah, he hasn't been very happy with his race car the entire weekend that they've been here.
And Brad Keselowski's in.
From 7th position, he got a wedge adjustment and 4 fresh tires. He said they told him to start running the bottom like the other guys were running very quickly. Kyle Busch is on pit road as well. His car, he said, I'm going too hard early and I have no rear lateral grip. Kyle Busch on an off pit road.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson. They went 1 round down in the left rear, 2 round down track bar, still lacking side bite. There's the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Harvick says he's loose off and tight in. Typically likes to drive a car that's a little bit tight, but it's been too tight to work with the way he wants. It's an air pressure adjustment, 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and fuel, Sunoco fuel for Kevin Harvick.
Beginning to wonder how long Denny Hamlin was going to stay out there, giving up time to these other guys that already have fresh tires. We'll see how this all cycles out when Hamlin comes back up onto the racetrack after this pit stop. Here he is, Dave.
And he, of course, will get fresh tires. He was trying to take care of them, run his laps out there, and obviously they stretched their fuel very well. He said you can keep going the same direction. Don't be afraid to keep going that way, which was make me just a little bit tighter, especially on the bottom of the track. The 11 car was just a little bit loose, but obviously very fast. Right now, Denny Hamlin has been in control here in Atlanta.
All right, so as Hamlin heads back out onto the racetrack, keep an eye out for Kyle Busch and for Kevin Harvick, who pitted earlier than Hamlin, even though they were behind him on the racetrack. They've had a couple of laps on fresher tires. There's Kyle. Harvick's just ahead of him on the racetrack, and we'll watch as Hamlin comes up to speed off turn 2 and see how they fold in.
Denny had a little bit of a luxury there now because he had built up a pretty good lead. Even though there's about 2.5 to 3 seconds difference when you put these fresh tires on, I think he's going to have the lead still.
Man, they did great. He lost about a second of his lead on the exchange of the green flag pit stops. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented by Pennzoil. Just the second caution has waved here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. As some debris reported, I believe I heard on the back straightaway, has brought the pace car out and will put us under the yellow flag for just the second time. That'd be a welcome break for a lot of these drivers.
Oh, a lot of them wanting to make some big adjustments. I'll tell you some drivers that really benefited from Denny Hamlin staying out there. Ryan Newman, Joey Logano, Marcus Ambrose, they were able to get back on the lead lap after they had been lapped. They pitted about 3 laps or 4 laps before Denny Hamlin did, and that was just enough time for them to stay out there and be able to take advantage and be on the lead lap.
So even though all the leaders were just on pit road,
they'll be back.
Come back in again. Put on 4 new shoes.
Yeah, this is a race that gets expensive for the owners. They know that they just have to bite the bullet because you're going to be in here every time you can possibly put tires on it.
And some people that need to do some adjustments on their car with maybe a chance to work on it a little more extensively under the yellow than they might on a green flag stop. Vince?
The 29 and the 48 both coming. You see the 48 of Jimmy Johnson up top. Jimmy says the entry is much more protected and more comfortable, so they're going the right direction on it. As far as the 29 of Harvick is concerned, he says it's just a little snug. They're not going to make any changes, Dave.
Neither are they for Kyle Busch. He said, give me some magic to make the front rotate and the rear bite, but they're not going to do that. 4 fresh tires. Leader Denny Hamlin, they wanted him to stay out perhaps, but Denny said, no, I'd like to come in for 4 tires. They did put some tape on the front of the car. Denny running a little cool right now.
Hamlin's team holds the lead on the exchange of stops. And I think that's probably a good call to come in and be on equal tires with everybody else. 200 miles in to tonight's race here at Atlanta.
5-hour energy rapid recap will get us caught up on what's happened so far in Atlanta. Tony Stewart started on pole, but has struggled, currently 24th, and just back on the lead lap.
Oh, yeah, that car's not handling good at all. I mean, he really fell to the field big time, really unexpected for Tony.
Kyle Busch has been very good tonight, not out of the top 10 at all.
Kyle Busch has been stout, led 66 laps. He looks like the car to beat thus far.
Jeff Gordon looking for another win to clinch a spot in the wild card?
I tell you what, he's looking pretty strong. He's been up in the top 5, top 10 all day long. The car hasn't lost much speed at all.
There's Carl Edwards in the 99, running in the top 10 right now, but really not been a factor thus far.
He's been pretty consistent, but not really moving forward, but we got a long way to go.
Heading into the race, we were talking about Denny Hamlin. Yes, he won the race last weekend. He is currently listed as the leader of 133 laps complete in Atlanta. Are we perhaps overlooking him a bit too much?
Well, I think I overlooked him. I mean, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, Joe Gibbs racing, they've been strong. They're leading this race right now. Running 1-2.
Big jam up on the restart. Looked like Kyle Busch had a lot of trouble getting going in the 18.
Well, he's spinning his tires. He had Jimmy Johnson pushing him, trying to help him get going, but that was only making matters worse.
Look at this behind him. There are a lot more cars on the lead lap than there were at the caution. An explanation after we let some of this settle out.
Kevin Harvick jumped out there on this restart. He's been coming all night.
Mark Truex is still marching his way to the front. He's third.
And you see Kyle now settling in fifth after the restart slip and slide and trying to dig his way back toward the front. Paul Menard got the free pass at the caution, and then with the yellow coming out just after a series of green flag pit stops, a number of drivers who had been lapped by the leader stayed on the racetrack, took a wave around the pace car, and got back on the lead lap. They include some of these cars you're looking at racing here. Regan Smith, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, Bobby Labonte, Trevor Baynes, Jamie McMurray, Tony Stewart, Landon Castle, all back on the lead lap via the wave around route. There's third place changing hands. Matt Kenseth, 17.
Talking about that jam up on the restart there. Big loser in all of that. Jeff Gordon restarted 7th. He's been running up in the top 5 all day. Fell all the way back to 14th right now.
I guess it's better than being wrecked right now.
Very true. Seen Kyle start to struggle here after they've made the previous green flag pit stop. Their car just hasn't seemed to be quite as good.
So you talked about Jeff Gordon getting shuffled back on the restart and losing some ground after the traffic accordioned essentially in front of him. Now he's back racing with Greg Biffle for 14th and 15th place.
Yeah, and it's amazing how different your car, you'll find it drives as you get back in this traffic, trying to make up time. You're not getting as much clean air to your car. You really start complaining.
Yeah, and the other side of that is like Kevin Harvick. He's got the lead on that restart. Now he's the fastest car on the racetrack. He's out there leading, clean air, and we haven't seen his car be this strong all night.
About all year,
yeah.
to say the least, but certainly not tonight.
Greg Biffle, any happier? Well, watching those hands slide, I'm not sure he would be, Shannon.
Well, I guess that just answered your question there, Alan.
Yeah.
No. He actually is still struggling with the setup of this car. They got a little more aggressive on that last pit stop. They put a spring rubber in the left rear. They've already put a spring rubber in the right rear. He immediately came over the radio before the last pit stop and said, I am just in a four-wheel slide all over the racetrack, so not happy at all.
All right, so it continues to be a long night for the championship leader in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series coming in.
They said they brought a throwaway car. I think Greg's probably thinking about now they should have thrown it away before they brought it.
So let's go back and have another look at that restart and how it all got jammed up. restart accordions are something we see a lot at this racetrack.
Yeah, we talk about how slick, and normally when we talk about a racetrack being slick and no grip, we're talking about mainly through the corners. See Jimmy Johnson sliding through the corners here. The straightaways aren't much better. I mean, there's just no grip to be had. And normally Kyle Busch is really good, probably the best on these type of tracks of getting his car up to speed, but just couldn't do it that time.
Any update on this 18, Dave?
Well, just maybe a little window into their philosophy. Had a conversation with 18 crew chief Dave Rogers this afternoon, and I asked him, did you pick up anything from the Nationwide Series race last night? He said, yeah, I watched that 33 dominate on the bottom and on the long runs. So I said, that affect your philosophy? He goes, yeah, took a little bit away from our short run, gave a little bit more to Kyle's long run. Now, obviously, he spun the tires on that restart, but keep an eye on that because Kyle's car may come to life later in these runs.
Yeah, I know Dale was talking about how he was surprised a lot of cars running the bottom of the track in 1 and 2. And I think that's what happened last night. Kevin Harvick dominated so much running the bottom that I think it changed the philosophy of a lot of teams.
Now Jeff Gordon trying to make up some of the ground lost.
Yeah, that's what's so bad, man. But his car has been pretty decent on the long runs, but you just hate to give up that much when you have your fresh tires. Just really discouraging for the driver. What's Jeff saying, Vince?
Well, the one thing that Jeff is talking a lot about is the fact how much better his car runs when he gets it out in clean air as compared to that traffic that he was in when you guys described that accordion at the restart and he was battling with Biffle. He said, we do not have the car to be in this kind of traffic. Once he gets out in the cleaner air, it handles much better. Of course, the speed then is better as well, but he is not happy when that car gets in traffic, and right now, well, that's where he's at. Currently 12th. He's going to see some traffic.
And I remain amazed as we watch these onboard shots.
Right front, guys, right front. Four tires.
Joey Logano with trouble. Mike?
And he's complaining about the right front, Alan. They're going to come down pit road and obviously change 4 tires here. Not taking any chances. You saw what happened with Denny Hamlin last night. They hit pit road early when they felt something wrong with that car. They're going to work on the right side there. Joey's still fighting the ill effects of his stomach virus. He actually asked for something to eat, something he hasn't done in a couple of days, so maybe he's feeling a little bit better.
All right, so Logano, who had just gotten somewhat of a good break earlier, with a bad break here just laps later in this green flag run. 6th place changing hands here.
Impressive night for Sam Hornish Jr. Making a nice run. This is Sam's type of racetrack, I think. Fast. He kind of likes to run the car hung out, and you've got to be comfortable in that situation driving the car here. Actually up in front of his teammate there, Brad Keselowski.
Looks like Jimmy is struggling a little bit, though.
Yeah, the two Penske cars, 22 and 2, they've been close together in the running order all night. So, from your experiences here, driving in these long Atlanta races where you're slipping and sliding and wrestling the wheel, do you ever get to a point behind the wheel where you just say, okay, I've had enough, fix this thing, or you just know that that's just how this track is and you just got to ride it?
Yeah, I think you come in knowing that it's going to be a long 500 miles. I mean, we've seen the leader, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, whether it was Kyle Busch out front, their car's working extremely hard and the car's moving around a lot. You just know it's going to be like that. And you just hope that you don't make a change that really sends you one way, and especially on the loose side, because that makes it almost impossible. You have no choice but just to basically slow down and not wreck and hope you can fix it back.
Things is acting funky. We got a bad set of tires or something here. All right, baby, you just keep your hands on that wheel and bring her home safe inside.
Yeah, when Jimmy's struggling for the car, it's bad. I mean, he's got a handful right here. He's probably one of the best to hang on to a car that's not handling well, though.
But Jimmy Johnson running in 8th position, 7.6 seconds behind the leader, Kevin Harvick. Richard next weekend to a huge weekend in NASCAR. Richmond, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, presented by Bombardier, Friday at 7 Eastern on ESPN, and the Chase deciding race next Saturday night, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from Richmond on ABC at 7 Eastern time next weekend. It's going to be a big night. Look forward to seeing how it all shakes out at Richmond. And of course, we'll share the conversation throughout tonight's race, next weekend's races with you as well at NASCAR ESPN. The hashtag is Pit Studio. Been asking you to tweet your seats about where you might be watching tonight's race from. Looks like Dagadude was in the Turn 4 grandstands and Spurgeon Boy is in front of the TV. Starting them young. Gotta like that. You're probably watching races about that age, right?
Yeah, that's at the track.
Yep. Here's your leader, Kevin Harvick. Took over just after the most recent restart. After Harvick started this 29 car back in 24th on the grid, ran quickly up into the top 10, then into the top 3, now to the number 1 spot. And look out the results for Harvick through the 24 races of this season so far. Only 3 top 5 finishes and just 1 top 10 in the last 7 races. This is not a team that's been showing us the ability to get up here, lead laps, and win races, Vince, but they've got it figured out tonight.
They sure do, and I think the change to crew chief Gil Martin has been a positive move in the positive direction for them, because they seem to have gone back to the basics from a setup perspective, and that's helped their race car. Right now, the car's pretty good. The problem they're having is that Gil is having a difficult time hearing Kevin, so Gil's actually changed out headsets a couple of times because they just don't have a clarity in the headset to have a clear understanding of the feedback that Kevin's given them. Car seems to be pretty good. Now, if they can just hear what Kevin's saying about it, maybe they'd really have an understanding.
Well, you have to know that it has been a frustrating season for this team to not, I mean, they'd won 3 races by this time a year ago, and they only have 3 top 5 finishes this season.
This sounds like how we were talking about Tony Stewart this time last year.
Yep.
Maybe they're peaking at the right time.
Denny Hamlin, second place, losing a little bit of ground to Harvick over the last several laps. Climbing up into 3rd position on this last shuffle after that restart scramble and series of pit stops, Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, Martin's done a nice job of taking this race car from starting 28, just being very persistent and patient throughout the night, taking what it would give him, working on his race car, got himself in a good spot here, not only to make the chase, but to get himself in a position to get that first victory in this Michael Walker car. First victory since he's been at Michael Walker Racing.
Yep. And first victory in a long time for Martin. 2007, his last win. There's Kyle Busch, led the most laps tonight, 66 of the 163. Now running in 4th after the big slip on the restart a little while ago.
Keep doing what you're doing. Race to racetrack, but tell me what you need to go faster next run.
And just flip the switch. This is all hell.
10-4.
Well, that's difficult to fix.
Yeah, you feel like they just flip a switch sometimes, but you know, I heard Kyle say earlier that he felt like maybe he was running the car too hard at the beginning of a run, and it really was just hurting him as they tried to get some more laps. Mike, 14's in.
Yeah, and Tony Stewart completely unhappy with his race car, comparing tonight to what he experienced in Texas earlier this year, which was a weekend where they started off good, but it all went bad very quickly. Car not good. They've even talked about maybe making a shock change. They haven't done it yet, but a 4-tire change in the 14 and an air pressure adjustment. But Tony very unhappy with the way he's getting into the corner.
Remember, Tony had taken a wave around to try and get back on the lead lap, and then lost the lap already before that green flag pit stop. Expecting to see these front runners in around lap 171 or so for their next stop. And let's go back and follow up more on that radio transmission we heard from Kyle Busch just a minute ago. Dave, you want to help us out there?
Well, Alan, because Kyle gave them just a little bit more, because a couple laps after that, he drove a different line and said, oh, wait, this stuff ain't easy. And then he found a better line. So just by moving around a little bit, the loose condition which he was explaining, he was able to correct. So it's not quite as bad as that first thought might have had. Mike?
Carl Edwards complaining about the same things everybody else is, really looking for grip. In fact, he said it's like driving on oil out there. It's that slick. Looking for 4 tires on the 99, a chassis adjustment, and Sunoco race fuel for Carl Edwards, trying to give him just a little bit more grip, something just about everybody in the field searching for tonight.
Marcus Ambrose is in.
Marcus Ambrose, they're going to continue working on the setup of this car. The handling is not where he wants it. You see the wrench in the back window. That's going to be a track bar adjustment. They're also going to put 4 tires and fuel for the 9 car. Guys?
All right, Shannon. Remember some of the guys that stayed out to take the waiver out at that last caution, needing to pit a little sooner than the front runner, expecting Kevin Harvick in shortly after lap 171 or 172 from the race lead. There's Ryan Newman in.
Alan, he's gotten into the top 10, which is where he needs to be running to try to make it into the chase this year. Loose this time. He was able to give his crew some idea of what's going on. They will make a 4-tire change, helping with air pressure. Again, a top 10 run for Newman. Shannon?
Well, we've well documented the 16 struggles. The car is still not right for Greg Biffle. Says it's plowing. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, a 4-tire change.
Mark Martin also leaving the pit lane. Paul Menard took the free pass at that last caution to get back on the lead lap. Now on pit road.
Paul Menard's just been handling some tight conditions for that 27 car. They're going to take 4 tires, as will everybody that comes down pit road here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, but just a little bit tight. Mike?
Jeff Burton's complaint is that he hasn't been able to run the bottom the way he would like. That's what they worked on throughout the course of practice yesterday, so they're a little bit surprised by that. A 4-tire change for Jeff Burton. Further down pit road, Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking for a left side bite. They'll make a 4-tire change and an air pressure adjustment there to try to give him what he needs.
So Kevin Harvick with a 2.5-second lead over Denny Hamlin. And we'll see whether that grows, shrinks, or changes in some fashion as the leaders approach a round of stops. Here's Clint Boyer on the pit lane.
He had been running 9th, Allen, before this round started. He'll make no chassis adjustment changes. Good news for Clint. He lost spots on pit road, getting stuck behind the 10 car of Danica Patrick. He has gained them all back, and that's because this car is running so well, and that's why he wants no chassis adjustments on it.
And Boyer fell from 8th to 17th on the last set of pit stops.
So Sam Hornish get in awfully hot as he's on pit road here. I hope he wasn't speeding coming in.
Jimmy Johnson in as well, Vince.
Jimmy didn't like that set of tires that he had on. He said, I think the car is okay, but let's put on a better set of tires. He hoped anyway. They made a chassis adjustment and an air pressure adjustment as well. Mike?
Sam Hornish having a very strong run, hit pit road, running 6th. They'll make a 4-tire change and an air pressure adjustment. He's just a little bit loose, but otherwise pretty happy with his race car.
Third place, Martin Truex Jr. on the pit lane.
What a great run for Martin Truex Jr. Allen started 28th. He just gave up 3rd. He said the car is just a little bit tight. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. He can lock up a chase berth here tonight with a 14th place or better finish.
4th place, Kyle Busch is on pit road. He was told that his teammates got some help from a left rear wedge adjustment. Do you want that? Kyle got it. 4 fresh tires. Vince?
They warned Kevin Harvick about speeding on pit lane, said do not get a penalty here. It's a chassis adjustment because he's a little bit too snug. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for the man who was the race leader when he hit pit road, Kevin Harvick.
Matt Kenseth also on and off pit road. Denny Hamlin now the leader. Danica Patrick almost missed pit road.
Saw her do that last night in the nationwide race. She was running pretty fast whenever she entered pit road there.
Danica Danica Patrick complaining that her car has been just a little bit too loose. She doesn't like it like that, wants to be a little bit more conservative and tight, allows her to be a little bit more aggressive on throttle. They'll make a 4-tire change here to the 10 car with a little bit of an air pressure adjustment, trying to help her just a little bit. Meanwhile, Joey Logano coming down pit road. He's another guy who has not found exactly what he's looking for in that race car. Still feeling a little bit ill behind the wheel of that machine, although he's still sticking with it. A 4-tire change, no chassis adjustments for the 20 car as we go to Dave.
Denny Hamlin, he said that the car is not turning like it was before in the center of the corner. Darian Grubb asked him if he wanted to go back on some of the changes they made. That's yes. That'll be a wedge adjustment back, air pressure adjustments back, 4 fresh tires, and full of fuel.
So Hamlin leaving is going to finish the cycle of green flag pit stops. And should put Kevin Harvick back around into the #1 spot.
Yeah, by quite a margin, too.
So a busy time on pit road for all of the drivers and teams. Kenyatta Houston changing front tires for David Gilliland on a warm night in Atlanta, all covered up in his safety clothing and working hard. So much at stake for drivers trying to race into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Carl Edwards needing to win tonight in Atlanta or next Saturday night in Richmond, or find a way to race his way into the top 10 in points. And here in Atlanta tonight, not having the kind of night he would hope for. Edwards running right now back in 6th position. By pitting earlier than some others a minute ago, he worked his way up as high as 4th, but now those with fresher tires beginning to chip their way back around that 99 car. There's some trouble for Clint Boyer, Dave.
Alan, voltmeter flashing, other indicators flashing. He had turned everything off, including his cool box, all evening long. Only the gear fan was left on, but still they couldn't maintain the voltage in the battery. This will be a battery change. It was around 10 volts a couple laps ago, and they finally decided we can't take it anymore. Tough break for the 15. The car handled so well, but could not get that charge.
Started last, was running 7th at the time of this misfortune.
Andy, they changed the engines before the race, had to go to the rear. Any chance that something there could be amiss?
Well, yeah, I mean, they changed the alternator's part of that, and they changed out the engine. I don't know if maybe they had a problem with the alternator on the engine they put in that didn't have any practice time to verify that it was charging. I mean, you can check that in the garage with it idling, but sometimes those issues don't expose themselves until you get in racing conditions.
Well, it's a real shame. You had a fast race car tonight.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. You see just how frustrated that Clint is in the car.
Still has a chance to clinch a place in the chase tonight on points, where he was starting the night and so on, but he had a chance to win maybe too. Kevin Harvick out in front has just put Danica Patrick in that 10 car, a 4th lap down. 34th place for Patrick.
Nice to see Kevin Harvick. I know we've said this, they haven't documented that they haven't been that strong. I talked to Kevin a little bit at Michigan a few weeks ago. He was telling me he thought they were making changes. See Jeff Gordon making a pass on Ryan Newman, who really gets sideways there. But Kevin was optimistic that they were heading in the right direction, making some changes that he thought was going to benefit this race team and help them become competitive again. Because, as he told me, he said, I don't just want to be in the chase. He said, you know, it's no fun just being there. You want to have an opportunity to win. This is showing that they may have that.
And for anybody that struggled through the course of a winless season, what happened with Tony Stewart last year has to give everybody that attitude that, hey, look, get hot at the right time and it can happen.
Yeah, you can't give up. I mean, like I said, Harvick struggled all year long. They've got it turned around the right direction. It couldn't be a better time for this team.
I just love watching these guys work the steering wheel inside these cars on this racetrack and how hard they're working behind the wheel at such high speeds.
Well, these two have been having a good race. Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski back and forth.
And once again, as Kyle came out of the pits, his car wasn't that strong getting up to go on the fresh tires. But as he gets a few laps, the air pressures build up, then he starts moving back forward.
Kyle Busch running 4th, Brad Keselowski 5th, Kevin Harvick leading.
Corner. Clear. Da-na-na. Da-na-na.
He's having that kind of night.
Look at him working. It's Kevin Harvick on Twitter just before the race. Motivation. New baby Keelan at the racetrack for the first time. It won't be the last. They'd love to have a victory lane photo to go with that one.
And welcome back to a Sunday night race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Under the lights with 130 laps to go, Kevin Harvick is currently out front. Perhaps no surprise considering we saw him dominate the race last night in the Nationwide Series. We have seen 13 lead changes and just 2 cautions for 8 laps. So far, though, it's been Kyle Busch we've seen out front the most. Our in-race reporter currently in 3rd, one of the biggest movers. And in the standings, if the race were over right now, which is not, Greg Biffle would be out front. Those are the 3 guys who are currently locked.
Well, one thing you got to remember, this is a long race. Talking 500 miles, 129 laps to go yet. But Kevin Harvick, man, he learned a lot last night in that Nationwide race. And Brad, that car is flat flying out there.
Yeah, he is on a rail. And also Denny Hamlin, I mean, he has been really a surprise tonight. I can't believe how strong he's been. You know, last week, obviously, with the win. But this team has just really, he and crew chief Darren Grubb, come on strong the last couple of weeks and put themselves in this championship picture.
Well, let's get up to speed with our leaders. Vince, starting with you. You have Kevin Harvick.
That's right, and Kevin says the car's not quite as good as it has been. It's starting to go away a little bit, and although you see him down there on the yellow line, he says it's not as comfortable down low as it has been earlier in the race. Remember, he started 24th. He's driven all the way to the front. He's your leader. Dave?
Brad just said he couldn't believe how strong Denny Hamlin was. I bet he went through the garage and talked to Darian Grubb the way I did and saw that little bit of smile, a little wiggle right there. Darian had the smile on his face because the car's been good since they unloaded it from the truck, and they've stayed in the same direction. They knew they were going to be good. Shannon?
Well, Martin Truex Jr. started 28th. He is now in 3rd place. He did have a slow pit stop on that last stop. When he came down, the right rear got hung up, and it was about a 16.7 second pit stop. His crew told him, don't worry, we didn't lose any position. We're still in 3rd. As you see, there's the right rear, and as the guy tries to pull it off, it does get hung up. Made it a little slow of a pit stop, but he didn't lose the 3rd place position. He just lost some ground to Denny Hamlin, as he's currently 11 seconds behind Denny Hamlin. Dave?
For the 18 car, when I talked to Dave Rogers earlier today, he said, you know what, we had a very fast car in happy hour, the final practice, but we never made a 20-lap run. So where will it go? That's part of the challenge here tonight, is to manage this racetrack and the race cars and see what you can do with your car as the night goes on. As far as Brad Keselowski goes, it's the same kind of story. He says the car really hasn't been lacking a whole lot of grip. It just doesn't have stability in it right now. Not handling poorly is what he said. Just doesn't have stability. So a little bit of a subtle issue for Brad right now. Mike?
Dave, under the circumstances where Carl Edwards knows he absolutely needs a win to make the chase, he said Atlanta's the perfect racetrack for him. He loves sliding through the corner. Well, he may be sliding through the corner a little bit more than he wanted to on that last run. Said it was so slick it was like he was on oil. They made a wedge adjustment, and the car has been a little bit better. Suddenly, as you can see, he's working to the bottom of the racetrack. He can move around a little bit better than he could on the last run. Behind him, you'll find Sam Hornish having a very solid run tonight inside the top 10. Just fine-tuning on that race car. It was just a tick looser than he would have liked on that last run, so they made 0.2 of a pound of an air pressure. They took that out of the right rear, trying to tighten him up just a little bit. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson currently running 8th. Johnson, the only driver to make the chase all 9 seasons, comes into the race 2nd in points.
He's had a pretty decent race car. It's not been great. Chad Canals, the crew chief, just told him we were faster when we were looser. And Jimmy replied, yeah, I'm definitely too tight across the center right now. So they've got that car to work on yet. Now the 24 for Jeff Gordon, they've been looking for the sweet spot in that one since early in the race. He led early on, charged right to the front, in fact, but they've not been able to get it back as good as they'd like, and especially in traffic. As you see, there's nobody there in front of him, but when he gets up in traffic, it's a little bit too loose. Now the 17 of Matt Kenseth, he said the middle is no better than it was, and he's lacking rear grip. That's really what they've kind of been fighting. They're running 10th right now. They've been around that spot, but they haven't had a car to challenge yet tonight. Nicole?
Thanks, Vic. It's Kevin Harvick out front of Denny Hamlin, who's really giving Harvick right now a run for his money.
Yeah, he's definitely running him down a little bit, Nicole. He's getting closer and closer, and they're working on the cars throughout the night. You can definitely tell that everybody's adjusting to this racetrack, whether it's wedge adjustments, air pressure adjustments, what have you. And Carl Edwards, here's another guy that I'm looking at. Been focusing on him all day long. He really has to get it done. He needs to win this race to get locked in.
Green flag stops underway, Shannon.
That's right, Nicole. They're going to continue to work on this 16 car for Greg Biffle. He says when he gets off the gas, it just snaps loose. They're going to make a track bar adjustment in 4 tires. Greg Biffle is out of his pit box. Guys?
All right, Shannon, so Denny Hamlin, as he steadily has since these leaders last made green flag pit stops just a little under 40 laps ago, slowly, steadily closing in on Kevin Harvick up front.
And you see Marcus Ambrose in his pit box, guys. He says it's better through the center, but really loose off. So they're going to go to work on that 9 car, make a 4-tire change for Marcus Ambrose. Remember, he is in the wild card hunt with that win at Watkins Glen. So tonight is all about getting a win.
Edwards and Hornish, 99-22. Montoya on 42 is on fresh tires, so he should be a handful around these guys for a minute. Looking for a way through.
Well, you can just see Carl Edwards sawing the wheel coming off the corner.
Yeah, off the corner, even when he got on the flat of the straightaway, still having to make an adjustment.
Don't you love that? Running all over the racetrack. Bottom, top, middle, anywhere you can find some grip for your race car.
Mark Martin has been happy with the balance of this car. They're going to take 4 tires. He's made 51 starts here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Started this race 6th after really struggling in practice. 4 tires for the 55.
Jeff Burton on pit road now looking for a 4-tire change, also an air pressure adjustment and a chassis adjustment as well. They're going to try to tighten him up just a little bit. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart, they've been struggling throughout the course of the evening. Their last stop, they pulled the spring rubber from the right rear. Here, this time they'll make a wedge adjustment and a 4-tire change for Tony Stewart, Vince.
The 17 of Matt Kenseth said he can hardly drive it. It wants to wreck on entry and exit. They made a big air pressure adjustment, 4 tires for Kenseth.
Ryan Newman lost a couple of spots on that run, was running 12th before everyone started pitting. Why? Loosest I've been, he said. It'll be a left rear wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, we told you just a moment ago, he said it's just too tight across the center. Track bar adjustment on the 48, also giving him 4 fresh tires and air pressure adjustment for Jimmy Johnson as well. Mike?
Carl Edwards coming in saying the car's been free off, tight center. They'll make a chassis adjustment, also a 4-tire change for the 99. Remember, Carl Edwards has one objective today, win. They'll be as aggressive as they possibly can going for it. 4-tire change is complete there.
Jeff Gordon in that 24 starts off too tight and then gets loose. They've been dealing with that throughout much of the day. You see the wrench going in the right back end there. It's a track bar adjustment, 4 tires. Jeff Gordon desperately needing to get to the front, needs a win to make the chase. They looked good early, but they haven't been quite as good since.
Kevin Harvick still leading. Denny Hamlin by a little. And waiting on those leaders to make their call to pit road in this cycle of stops. Top 2 well away from 3rd place Martin Truex Jr. 14 seconds the gap between them. And this is the time now as a driver where you're really dependent on your spotter, because you got all these people coming at you that are on fresh tires, and you need to know what's going on, and you can't see all that well behind you.
Yes, a handful as it is, and then you have these cars on fresher tires all around you. Mike 88 in.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. just has not been able to find the balance they've been looking for tonight. And that was the concern of Steve Letarte coming into the race. Talking to him beforehand, his concern was speed and balance. They still haven't been able to dial it in. They'll make a chassis adjustment and a 4-tire change for the 88. It's a win.
Kevin Harvick out in front now for 78 of the 213 laps. We're past 300 miles in this race. Harvick, Hamlin, Truex, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Sam Hornish Jr., the only drivers that have yet to visit pit road in this cycle of stops. And again, you see Hamlin, guys coming by him on fresher tires.
You can see just what a difference this really makes. Oh, see Biffle still not happy with that race car sliding around, and he's got fresher tires on.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a reason I'd make a decision to go ahead and pit, even if I wasn't wanting to make a stop right now, is not to get wrecked or run over by cars that have fresh tires. You're really in a vulnerable spot when you're out there running a second or two off of what these cars can run on fresh tires.
Sorry for the whoa while you were talking.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was thinking the same thing.
That was Biffle hanging on.
Andy, just looking ahead a little bit, a question here. We've seen the two leaders in particular run a little bit longer than everybody else. We're getting down and seeing a lot of green flag racing. Are they still going to stop that soon, or are they just want to have fresher tires as they go on later on?
Well, I mean, like you say, these cars that are struggling with their handling are going to have to get in and get tires and try to make up some time. When you got a car handling as good as those two leaders, the 29 and 11, you can afford to stay out a lot longer. I was watching lap times for Harvick. He was still below 33 seconds on the old tire.
Saw Harvick waving the hand out the window, letting those behind him know he's coming to pit lane.
Reminding Kevin Harvick, no chances. They want to make sure they don't have any pit lane speeding violations. It's going to be a 4-tire change for Harvick. Still a little bit too snug. A track bar adjustment for the 29 as well. It's been a good night. He's won here in trucks. He's won in Nationwide, and he scored his first ever Cup win here. He looks to add to that this evening.
Good solid stop.
Brad Keselowski coming to pit road. Sam Hornish coming to pit road. Denny Hamlin staying out, Dave.
And the two-car Keselowski will give up the 5th position. Again, just a stability issue was the biggest thing for Brad, so they'll get an air pressure adjustment and 4 tires for him and send him on his way. Mike?
The balance on Sam Hornish's car has swung from tight early in the race to loose now. They'll make a track bar adjustment and a 4-tire change. A funky kind of angle that Sam Hornish took to his pit box, so making it tough on his front tire changer. Shannon.
Martin Truex Jr. cannot roll the center on this 56 car. They're going to put 4 tires. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment to try to help him out with that. Sunoco fuel, Dave.
When Kyle Busch's car dives into the corner, he couldn't turn it. Do you want track bar? No. How about wedge? Yes. Out of the right rear, 4 fresh tires, he's gone.
So waiting on Denny Hamlin to complete this cycle of pit stops. He's run 2 more laps now than the guy he was basically nose to tail with for the lead, Kevin Harvick. And it'll be 3.
Makes you wonder, Andy. They're looking at possibility of stretching this a few more laps and making this just one more stop.
Yeah, that's what I'm sure that's what they're trying to do, is get inside that fuel window. Like I said, those leaders that were running so well, they've pulled such a big lead on the 3rd, 4th, 5th place cars that they can afford to do that. I mean, Hamlin's obviously going to give up some time to Harvick because he's already made that stop, and by the time he makes his, he'll be way behind. But if he only has to make 1 more stop, and Harvick has to make 2, you can do the math.
We'll see when Denny Hamlin. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway coming up on the 350-mile mark of tonight's 500-mile race. Our telecast presented by Pennzoil. Kevin Harvick back to the race lead after a cycle of pit stops. You're watching the race for 6th. Kyle Busch 18. Well, let's make it for 5th. Jimmy Johnson 48. Kyle Busch 18. Carl Edwards 99, Brad Keselowski in the 2.
I think they might have made some nice adjustments on that 48 car. Jimmy Johnson came out of the pits running a lot better than what he has been. Kyle Busch, kind of the same things. You see Keselowski now going around Edwards, but Kyle Busch struggling on the fresh tires to get up to speed, but gets a few laps on his tires, then he's able to start going back forward again.
Edwards, Keselowski, just comparing the two. Carl stopped 8 laps before Brad did, so Brad's got 8 lap fresher tires and making that pass. Now, Kevin Harvick, when the cycle of green flag pit stops started, had a 1.3 second lead on Denny Hamlin. That lead is now a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's about 6 seconds, almost 6 seconds, but it's closing quickly. I saw Harvick make that stop, kind of short stop. Hamlin stayed out till just about time he was going to need fuel. And you can see just visibly how much you give up on the track once that stop's completed. But I really think that Hamlin's going to try to make this on one more stop.
Oh, keep
assuming green, too.
Yeah. Keep an eye on the gap between Harvick and Hamlin and see what kind of ground Denny makes up. He stopped 5 laps after Kevin did.
Yeah, it'd be about 52 laps each if they're going to make this work, Dave.
DJ, it was a clean pit stop, 4 tires. They made a wedge adjustment for the car that was just a little bit tight, but Denny was concerned that they left him out on tires for so long. Listen.
This is frustrating, having to make up a half a track every run, Darius. Temple or Bud, we got the 2 longest runs of the race left to finish it here. Just do what you've been doing. Maintain your speed.
This was the plan all along. You guys called it very correctly. They told him after the last pit stop, that opens our window for 2 more stops. They wanted to get to about lap 225 or 226. They hit pit road on lap 221, but they can stretch it, make it on 1 more stop to that lap 325 finish line, Alan.
He's already knocked almost 3 seconds of the gap off that he was behind Kevin Harvick right after the pit stops.
Yeah, this is sometimes it's difficult to get the driver on board. He's out there, he looks at that gap. He's been looking right at the leader for most of the race, and all of a sudden he can't see him. And he's thinking, oh man, I don't know about this. And you got to assure him it's going to work out.
Been talking all night about tires and fall off and speeds. That's a comparison of the last lap between Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin, and you see the 5-lap difference on the freshness of the tires and what it means in speed.
Yeah, it's still hard to understand that when you can't hardly see that leader, though, and you, as Andy said, you've been running right there. And also, you know, Denny's now going to, with these next 2 runs, is going to have to run quite a bit further than what he's run all night on these sets on a set of tires. So that also starts to concern you as a driver.
Yeah, but this thing goes green. Now, Denny's going to be really happy. He's catching Harvick really quick right now, and he'll probably end up passing for the lead on this run.
This the point I should tell you about the statistics on the late yellow flags here in Atlanta?
Yeah, I know you haven't.
They happen more times than not. We'll talk about it in a bit. We had NC State and Tennessee. Now we're going to have Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, hard to go up there and beat the Hokies on their home field, though.
And we're about to have Denny Hamlin chase down Kevin Harvick for the race lead.
I think he might be on board with this strategy.
Think he's
now.
feeling better?
Yeah, I think so.
He was 7.6 seconds behind after staying out 5 laps more on older tires. Now he's 0.2 seconds behind. It's Ryan Newman racing to stay on the lead lap. Newman now in 13th spot, a lap down.
You can see how Harvick and Hamlin are both so low in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 both that they're throwing sparks up off the splitter of racing. They're wearing that front splitter out.
Got loose Hamlin.
Now Martin Truex Jr. is in 3rd position, but he's some 13.5 seconds back, Shannon.
Well, you heard the 11 talking about why they stayed out, maybe some fuel mileage stuff. Martin Truex Jr. and this team, well, they're talking about it as well, Alan.
What we got, Martin, is we tried to run it out as far as we could because we're right at a pit window if this thing goes green. So we tried to run it out as far as we could without losing a bunch of time to the guys behind us that had already pitted.
Cool, man. We're still 3rd, ain't we?
Yes, sir, 3rd.
Truex is bought in.
Yeah, he's on board with the strategy. As long as he's up there where he thinks he should be, he's running third, having a good solid night tonight.
So, talking about if this thing goes green, as Chad Johnson was telling Martin Truex, right?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta bring you in on the numbers here. 8 of the last 9 Atlanta races, the last green run was less than 20 laps. So a very late caution. However, the exception to that was last year, and that last run was 71 laps. Which one do you place your bet on if you're the crew chief?
Well, right now it looks like it's one of those green kind of runs. I mean, I don't see anything that's telling me that we're going to see a caution, but you just never know. I mean, you can't plan that stuff. That's why you look at this historical data and try to go by it. If it says there's probably going to be one, then there's probably going to be one.
I'm thinking that this thing's going to the end here.
I'll take the under. Turn 2, trouble, caution flag is out.
Well, it's not going to go green to the end like we were speculating, but we still have 84 laps to go. So this is going to kind of change the strategy up for everybody.
That kind of gets them to running 40 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be
about
easy
like they
for everybody
were.
to make that.
Checking for confirmation on the cause of the caution from NASCAR.
I think Montoya might have got a piece of the wall.
That's what we're hearing.
We usually see a lot more of that. We just haven't seen the drivers up next to the wall very much.
Oh, yeah.
There's our confirmation.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Just that little slip.
So just the third caution of this race is out, and we are pushing 375 miles in. And so now that strategy of being off sequence and one needs to make 2 stops and one needs to make 1, that's all changed.
Everybody's back on the same playing field now. Just got to make good pit stops. Try to get that track position. We're going to see a crazy restart too.
Second free pass of the night for Paul Menard to get back on the lead lap. And with 82 laps to go, the leaders are headed in. Vince?
With 29 of Kevin Harvick. Kevin says it's better than last time. It's really good early, goes through a little lull, and then comes back to him. 4 tires, no changes.
Martin Truex Jr. just needs a little bit of help rolling the center. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, add a little tape to the grill. 4 tires. Dave.
4th place, Kyle Busch says pretty good. I like it. Tape on the grill, no other changes. 2nd place, Denny Hamlin. Just a little air pressure adjustment to change the car. Tight in the center is his complaint. Mike.
Carl Edwards has been tight. They're going to take some wedge and some air out of the right rear. Also a 4-tire change on the 99.
Going to have a lead change on the pit lane.
Stopped by Hamlin's group.
Change for third also. Kyle Busch up 1. Martin Truex Jr. back 1. That big restart coming up. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Telecast presented by Pennzoil. Hope you're having a happy Labor Day weekend. We are under caution for just the 3rd time in this race with 80 laps to go. The AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge top 4 qualifiers for the night. Who's going to be the top finisher of them? Well, right now, Kyle Busch is running the furthest forward. Remember to text FAST to 34763 and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge or visit AT&TFastestDriver.com. You could have a chance to win 4 Gs just by playing. Been kind of a struggle tonight for Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart, with Kyle Busch running in 3rd. So lead change on the pit stops. Denny Hamlin now out in front.
Yeah, like I said, Harvick had a solid stop, 13.4, but Hamlin's crew had a stellar stop with that 12.1. That was the difference. You kind of put these pit stops together, you can kind of see just how it works. It's not much difference. I mean, we're only talking about just a little over a second between the 2 stops. Jack dropped just a little quicker on the 11.
That's it. That's the difference. Now, they'll be side by side for the restart. Hamlin has the lane choice. He has chosen the inside lane. By the way, a nod to the pink pace car. Atlanta Motor Speedway and Chevrolet supporting the cause of breast cancer research. And the money being donated to charity for every lap that pace car leads tonight. It's probably going to get to lead a few more. Don't forget, tomorrow, Mac Tool's U.S. Nationals for the NHRA from Indianapolis. Highlight of the season for the drag racers. ESPN 2 noon Eastern tomorrow. Then next weekend, it's on to Richmond. The NASCAR Nationwide Series Friday night, presented by Bombardier, 7 Eastern Time ESPN. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and the Chase deciding race on ABC next Saturday night at 7 Eastern Time. Restart's always interesting and slippery here in Atlanta. Kyle Busch had trouble on an earlier one.
Hey, bud, do you remember what happened on the last restart? Spun my tires real bad? Yeah, that was the outcome, but I was wondering if you knew why. Just giving you a reminder.
Yeah, he's had a hard time getting up to speed, whether it's green flag or the last restart that they had. Be interesting to see. He's on that inside line. Is he going to be able to get going this time?
Going to get going well enough to get a shot at displacing Kevin Harvick from second.
He didn't get going initially very well, but he did drive it down into turn 1 pretty hard, but he's still going to lose that spot there to Truex.
For the lead, Harvick looking inside. Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, 48-99, 6th and 7th.
Well, Martin Truex moved up about a half lane. Whoa, Jimmy Johnson really sideways. Martin Truex trying to take over second spot, though. He got a great run. He's going to take that spot from Kevin Harvick.
Quietly, steadily, all season long. In the lead group in the championship, hasn't yet visited victory lane. Truex would love to change that in his sponsor's hometown and on a weekend where he and they announced the contract extension to stay together with Michael Waltrip Racing.
Gotta say, I think that restart was a lot tamer than I thought it was going to be. It got strung out pretty quick there.
And Hamlin's put some gap on him. Remember how much ground he made up on Kevin Harvick after the last set of green flag pit stops.
I think he knows that 29 is really strong, probably about the last, you say 10 or 12 laps of a run, Andy, and probably needs to put as much distance as he can.
Who is that, David Gilliland?
Yeah, I believe it's 38 and slow on the bottom. Or he might make it back. Maybe not, though.
NASCAR's keeping an eye on it. We'll see. If Gilliland were to not make it back around and another caution, that would make things interesting for some of these crew chiefs. It's going to be close. He's still rolling.
I think he's going to make it.
Jimmy Johnson up to 6th as Gilliland gets back to the pit lane and we stay under green. They haven't called Mark Martin's number a lot tonight in that 55, but he's in the top 10 and on the lead lap.
Yeah, we saw Mark early in the race struggling with his race car quite a bit. He was not happy in practice with it, but it looked like they made some nice adjustments throughout the night, got him up inside the top 10 right now in 8th.
24, Jeff Gordon, Sam Hornish Jr., 22. That's for 10th place. And that 39 in that group in the picture there, Ryan Newman, is not on the lead lap. He's the first car one lap down, kind of hoping for a caution flag and a chance to get the free pass. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. first and second. Carl Edwards is losing several spots. 99 car is off the pace. Brad Keselowski running in 5th position. And there's Carl slowing down.
Yeah, he definitely got an issue.
Mike, you know what's going on with this 99?
Yeah, they think it's a battery. They asked him to switch batteries, but that hasn't corrected the problem. But no voltage on the 99 right now, and that's a serious concern.
Yeah, similar problem with Clint Boyer. He lost 4 laps changing that battery.
And Carl Edwards, with Tony Stewart struggling tonight, had kind of put himself in position to maybe had a shot at racing into the top 10 on points at Richmond next Saturday night. But if he ends up losing laps here and falling down the leaderboard, it's going to back up to, again, be win to get in for Carl.
He's just staying out there right now, hoping for a caution.
Yeah.
That might fall before he could go a lap down, and then they would have caution time to make a battery change.
I mean,
if they get him to the end of the race.
Just ride it out here for a few laps, see if it'll keep running, at least at some pace.
Well, Martin Truex has been faster than Denny Hamlin. He's closing in on him right now, but just wondered if Martin may be seeing that lead up there. Is he getting a little too much out of his tires right now and might pay the price on the back end of this run?
At the Kansas race earlier this year that Martin Truex Jr. led the most laps, and Denny Hamlin went by him in the late going and stole the victory away.
Maybe he can change that.
Hamlin leading Truex now. There is the race for the lead in the AdvoCare 500 in Atlanta. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. 11 and 56. About to put Carl Edwards a lap down. 99 still limping around the racetrack at reduced speed. And showing some smoke.
Yeah, that's not a battery issue there. That motor's giving up.
Shut it off here. Just shut it off. Get to the apron.
Here we go.
I was wondering about Truex if he was running this thing too hard, but he went to the high line as cautions come out now. Wow.
Pardon the interruption of that race for the lead, but
yeah,
Carl Edwards has gone up in smoke.
Boy, Truex did not want to see that caution. He had just found a line right there.
And sadly, on 2 fronts. First of all, it would have been fun to see if Truex could have gotten the lead using that high line. Second, because Edwards had just been lapped, no free pass because he's the cause of the caution. Ryan Newman had been in that first car a lap down spot since the restart and doesn't get the free pass. That's
not
bad.
sure or not.
That's bad luck.
No, that's bad luck right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sure don't see that happen very often.
And it's like I said, he'd almost raced his way in to a position where he had enough points to get in the chase.
Take it to the garage if you already missed it. Come to us.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, anything can happen next week, but even a win at this point in time might not even be enough.
Now, let me...
Come out the pipes pretty hard, I think.
It's an oddity to just take a look at. Guys that finished second in the championship.
Hey, Mystic, we done? Yeah, we're done. All right, guys, we need to get it back to the garage here.
It just doesn't go well for them the year after. Remember Denny Hamlin, the runner-up in 2010, the difficult year he had last year. Carl Edwards not in the chase at the moment and winless so far this year. And the pattern goes back.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something to this. It does take a lot out of a team and driver when you work so hard, get so close, and don't get it done.
Pit road is open. Here come the leaders. Vince?
Kevin Harvick said it just started out too tight on that last run, but then it got better, but it wasn't good in traffic. They're going to take a half-round wedge out of the left rear. Also put a little tape on the grill. They're going to be about 10 laps short from this spot. Shannon?
Martin Truex Jr. says he just needs a little help in 3 and 4. Temperatures are good, so they're going to add some tape to the grill as well. Dave?
4th place, Kyle Busch says, I want to turn better in the center, but I don't want to lose that rear end grip. Just a slight air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Your leader, Denny Hamlin, 4 tires. They're going to add some tape to the grill. Too tight.
Close call there, but the 11's going to hold the lead. They had to chase when they took the right rear tire off to send it around the car. They kind of had to chase it down before they could go change the left side tires, but they still held the number 1 spot. Bet there's a lot of guys shutting the cars off under this yellow to save fuel. Might be at the point of bringing that discussion into things too. Here's the race off pit road. Well, we talked about the championship runner-up hangover. Carl Edwards, in a way, tied Tony Stewart for the championship last November in that terrific finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. And Tony got the tiebreaker by more wins in what was the greatest championship fight in the modern era of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Carl fighting desperately to find a way to get into the chase for this year. Tonight's not going to help. An engine problem sends Carl to the garage. He will fail to finish a race for the first time since October 2009 at Charlotte, 102 races ago.
Wow, I didn't realize the streak was that long, but that's going to hurt. That really leaves a mark.
And it'll all come down to Richmond for Carl. By the way, a race where in the spring race there, he led the most laps, and a confusion and controversy over a late restart. He was penalized for jumping that restart. Saw him not get a chance to win.
Still going to be tough for him, though. Even if he gets a win at Richmond, and Kyle Busch has a good night like he's having tonight, it may not be enough.
56 laps to go in the race when the green flag waves. There are 15 cars on the lead lap. 5 just took wave arounds to get there, but up front, those first 4 have been fighting for the lead. Hamlin and Truex, Harvick and Kyle Busch.
Harvick got a great start. Looking inside, he's going to get it.
Yeah, he had to restart on the outside the last time, and that didn't work to his advantage at all. You can see Truex struggling up top.
Oh, and then look at Hamlin get the big run off the corner.
And here comes Keselowski. Oh, trouble. Jimmy Johnson turned into the wall. He's collected Ryan Newman. Sam Hornish also involved.
Get Hornish. Right here.
They lost 3 positions on their pit stop. I don't know if they had a problem or whatever it was, but get you back a little bit further, and these are the kind of things that happen. Usually we see them after people have trouble on pit stops.
And for Ryan Newman, it's all going to come down to Richmond next week as well. One of the drivers fighting for that second wild card spot. And with 1 win, he would have to have everybody else with 1 win and be ahead of them in points. Well, after this tonight, he's not going to be ahead of them in points. He's going to need to win at Richmond next Saturday to have a shot to get in. That's a lot of damage on that 48 car.
Yeah, it didn't look like they were going to get a win tonight, but they certainly didn't need this. Not like it's going to hurt them much. I mean, when the reset comes, they're still going to be up top. Another win would have been nice, but it didn't look like I said, they were going to get it tonight.
So Jimmy Johnson was 9th on the restart. It definitely looked like some contact from behind somewhere that sent that 48 car sideways into the wall halfway down the back straightaway. Oh, Sam got squeezed.
Yeah, that's just the wild restart we were anticipating the time before. Exactly what we see this time.
Yeah, I think Jimmy thought that Sam had a lane to come up. He didn't, because he had that 39 Ryan Newman right up there beside him. Looked like the first contact was actually Newman hitting the wall.
Well, look at the sparks flying in that shot. The little bits of metal hitting the racetrack coming off those race cars. So fifth caution of the race is out, and some of those hoping to race into the chase in trouble late in Atlanta. Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman.
How good or bad, happy yourself.
After 20 years at this label, if I don't open for your little ingenue who wouldn't make it as one of my backup singers.
Cleanup continues for the fifth caution in tonight's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race in Atlanta. Telecast presented by Pennzoil. 52 to go, and an accident racing for ninth place on the restart off of turn 2.
A little better angle here. I think Jimmy Johnson didn't have any idea that Ryan Newman was the outside of Sam Hornish there. And it's not that Ryan Newman did anything wrong. He just got to run off the corner, and Jimmy just really didn't leave enough room there either, but probably shouldn't have been in that spot.
We need 2 back to the 20 top side. Stay down, stay down. Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay all the way down. Stay all the way down. Clear high. Got a guy inside. Check up, check up, check up. Just watch them here. They're blocking the track. Stay high. Get up to speed before they hit you. Come on. Watch them here to come back down. Just watch this guy. There you go. Good job.
Three wide when you're expecting 2, it looks like.
Yep. Yes, racing on restarts at Atlanta. A lot of people did a nice job missing that. That could have been a much bigger accident than what it actually was with those 3 cars.
So for Ryan Newman, it leaves a big hole at Richmond. Got a win to get in. Jimmy Johnson looking around to see what kind of damage to his car. Are we getting back in or not? Pit lane's going to be open this time. We see some stops. I know there would be at least a few. There were some guys that took a wave around before that caution to get back on the lead lap. We know we'll see them. That'd be Dale Jr., Jeff Burton, Regan Smith, and Jamie McMurray. What about the front runners? Split decision. Vince?
Boy, they had a long conversation about whether to just go fuel only here, but they decided at the last moment to go ahead and put on 4 tires. Kevin Harvick believes he's got a car that's fast enough to get to the front, but track position has been huge, Dave.
Brad Kay and Paul Wolf had a short conversation. I think we should come. Yeah, I think so too. Remember what happened in practice? Yeah, let's do it. Come on, 4 tires, no chassis adjustments, and they'll send Brad back out with the freshest rubber at Atlanta.
And enough fuel, they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I like the idea. Once you put any kind of heat and get some laps on the tires here, even though it was very short time, I just don't think they ever come back to be as good.
Hamlin and Truex do not pit under the yellow flag. Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth stay out as well. This is going to get interesting. And the car count back in the garage. Second to last race, still the chase, and a tough night for some of those hoping to race their way in. Tony Stewart, 10th in points, not having a great night. He hasn't had any wrecks or things like that, but he's just not run well. Kyle Busch in the mix for what would be a huge win in that 18 car, showing third at the moment. Carl Edwards, now this is not good. Smoke from behind the 99 car, he is out of the race. And then Ryan Newman caught up in this with Jimmy Johnson and Sam Hornish Jr. And Newman will have to go down to Richmond hoping to win to get in. Mike Massaro's in the garage.
And Carl Edwards out of the car. He's already debriefed with his engine folks. It appears to be a piston problem. Out of this race, but not out of the chase yet. You still got one more race to qualify here. What are your thoughts now, big picture, going to Richmond?
Real big picture? I'm not a real religious person, but I feel like somebody's trying to teach me a lesson. And, you know, this year has just been amazing in a bad luck kind of way. But the big picture is we were fast. I was having a good time out there tonight. My pit crew was great, and we're going to Richmond where anything can happen, and hopefully whatever happens involves us winning the race and making this chase. We don't quit, not for Subway, fast and all for Ford, everybody, but it's just almost too much to put into words. It's so frustrating and so shocking that this could happen tonight.
So what's it like going to a short track, Richmond, the final race of the regular season, knowing you got to win?
I'm probably going to drive pretty hard, and it's gonna be fun. I mean, I'm just gonna go out there and hang it out and do everything I can to win, and heck with the consequences. We'll go racing, and maybe we can do something spectacular. But we didn't need this, but at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing in the world. Bad day at the races is still better than a good day, with a real job. So we'll just go represent everyone the best we can. Hopefully make this thing.
Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Alan?
Gotta like that statement.
Keep it in perspective.
And for Carl Edwards, 2012 has been a lesson in bad luck, I guess you could say. And, when you look at Richmond, he led 206 of the 400 laps there in the race back in the spring. And again, was racing for the lead on that late restart when he got black flag for jumping the restart. So he's got a shot. We'll see how it plays out next Saturday night. Still got one to settle in Atlanta tonight in a very interesting situation. 4 cars did not pit. Hamlin, Truex, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth. Kevin Harvick first off the pit lane, restarts in 5th position. There will be 46 laps to go in the race. How wild will this restart be, and what's the next line in the story of this Atlanta race going to be?
Ready to go.
On the move on fresh tires in that 2-car up to 4th.
Jeff Gordon has some fresh tires. He's trying to make a move towards the front.
And Harvick on the fresh tires, losing a couple spots on the restart exchange.
Martin Truex getting back to that line that was helping him run Denny Hamlin down for a couple of cautions ago. Low. See Kenseth sideways out of 2.
While we watch this, Ryan Newman treated and released from the infield medical center and has left the track without comment. High, low, middle, any place you can find grip to get to the front.
I think Gordon's car looks good. Now here's a race for the lead.
What a run off turn 2 on that high lane for Truex.
Well, he's really making a lot of speed running that middle to upper groove down in turns 1 and 2.
He made that look easy.
What a week this would be for him with contract extension for him. His sponsor coming back. Going to be in the chase. First time with Michael Waltrip Racing. A lot of racing together.
And his sponsor Napa based here in Atlanta. What a night it would be. Keselowski and Kyle Busch. That's for 3rd and 4th place. Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth right behind.
Keselowski, one of those drivers that came in and got fresh tires with that. Just the spark that he's going to need. He's been solid all night, just not spectacular. There's Gordon making a pass on the high side on Kyle Busch.
And at the back of that picture, Kevin Harvick has fallen back to 7th, restarted 5th. So how things have changed all of a sudden in this race. Truex is leading. Harvick was up there racing for the lead on the last restart. Now he's back in 7th.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought that he had really the best car. We saw that restart right when that wreck happened. It looked like he was going to be able to take the lead away from Hamlin. And and then he had to come in there, or came in and got through tires. I thought he was just going to be really fast, and now he's fading, and we see the 2 car did the same thing. He's actually making a headway. It's the best we've seen him all night.
You just never know. When you put those tires on, make a little bit of a change, even though Goodyear does such a great job, they just might not react the same on your race car, and makes it more difficult.
We were told Ryan Newman had left without and would not comment. That is actually not correct. Ryan Newman is on the property, and while Jeff Gordon passes Brad Keselowski for 3rd, let's hear from Newman with Shannon.
Well, Alan, we just showed Ryan the replay of the event, the wreck. Can you tell us what you saw?
I didn't see much. I know I got run out of room. It was not my fault, but it was just, racing. It looked like the 48 just ran everybody out of room, and it's unfortunate. Our U.S. Army Chevrolet, we had caught 2 bad breaks. The lucky dog, the one time the 27 got it like a half a lap before the yellow come out, and then the 99 caused it. He was the lucky dog by like a half a lap, and it was just unfortunate. We got one chore to do with the U.S. Army team, and that's go into Richmond and win. We've done it before. I can do it again.
So big picture, what are your thoughts? How do you now approach that race?
It all depends. I mean, if Kyle or Jeff win tonight, then there's no chance. But we still have a chance if they don't.
Thanks, Ryan. Alan?
All right, so Ryan Newman with a tough night in Atlanta.
Yeah, but give Ryan credit for coming out. That is tough. You get yourself in that position, and to stay around, give his thoughts. I commend him for doing that. There's Jeff Gordon. Seeing a Jeff Gordon of old sliding this race car around.
Really?
Yeah, he looks desperate.
Well, shouldn't he be?
He is.
Yeah. Saw those hands on that steering wheel inside this 24, very busy earlier in the race. They look just as busy now, but just getting better results for it, Vince.
Well, they have been working on this race car all night long. They fought loose, and then when the car got in traffic, it didn't handle appropriately. But Gordon said, if we can just get some clean air, I am bad fast in clean air. We've seen highlights of that. The key is he going to be fast enough to get to the front before the end of this race? Likes what he's got right now, and he is driving the wheels off of it.
5th place here, 17 Matt Kenseth, 18 Kyle Busch. Based on what people were telling me in the garage, whoa, look at that run Kyle got. Based on what people were telling me in the garage earlier today, I expected this 17 car to be a contender up front. We really haven't seen him there much of the night.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talk about that. Now we see the 29 coming back into the picture a little bit. Is his car going to come back to him where he can make a run here in these last 35 laps? That's plenty of time for him to get there still.
And just something else to tie into this whole conversation. Those guys up front, like Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., did they save enough fuel to get all the way to the finish?
Certainly going to be a question. Jeff Gordon got plenty of fuel, and he's putting the gas pedal as far down as it'll.
You can see from that view, first of all, what a run Gordon gets off the high side. Second, how far out ahead the leader, Martin Truex Jr. is.
Great work. All right, go get him, buddy.
So Gordon to second, 1.9 seconds behind Martin Truex Jr. This 56 car took the green flag tonight in 28th position on the grid. He's driven it all the way to the front. Our Goodyear superior performer on this night in Atlanta, Martin Truex Jr. leading the race with 33 laps to go in search of what would be not a big win, not a huge win, but a massive win. Wouldn't he jump up your list of potential championship contenders a bunch with a win tonight? Of late. And now as we get into the final laps, a play of pit strategy in those last couple of cautions sees the drivers who are running first and third on older tires and with less fuel aboard than the guy who's running in second, Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, the numbers are going to show about 10 laps on those tires, but most of those laps were caution laps. Really, one green flag lap is all the difference in the tires on the on the leaders, and like Jeff Gordon, he made a pit stop and got fresher tires.
56 car, 24 laps away from victory. Shannon, are they worried about fuel at all?
Well, Alan, 266 was the last lap that Martin Truex Jr. came down pit road. I'm looking in their pit box. They have a monitor that tells them when they will be out of fuel. They will be out of fuel on lap 325.8. So Chad Johnson is telling his driver to start saving right now, backing up some of those corners. He said it'll be easier to do it now than it will to be later in the race. So 325.8. What do you think about that, guys?
I think they're going to be okay. They did get, like I said, a lot of those caution laps to give them some cushion. And with this lead, he can back up on the throttle, try to save a little fuel, and heck, he might even run faster.
Scheduled distance is 325, but you always have to bank on the possibility of that green-white checker extension of the race.
Well, if that happens, I think he might be in trouble.
I don't want to make you nervous, but just back it up what you can, because now it's going to be easier to save now than later.
Like you got an egg under your foot, buddy, nice and smooth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're calculating on this car and picking up all the fuel too. So I mean, that's cutting it awfully close. I know their strategy, but Martin can't help him out here because he still has a 3.4 second lead.
And just thinking out loud too, if we get a caution that sets up a green-white checker, they're all going to pit the tires anyway, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll see. But I guess whenever you hear that crew chief say, I don't want to make you nervous, but it's got to make you nervous. Jeff Gordon running second. Denny Hamlin now 4.9 seconds behind the leader in third place. Got a lot of laps tonight, Hamlin. 99, second most on the night. Barely. Brad Keselowski in fourth place. Never really got up there and contended for the lead tonight so far, but has had a very solid top 10 run all night long.
Yeah, he has. He's been in the top 10, and now he's solidly in the top 5, so they've had a good solid night, made good adjustments.
Kyle Busch led about 100 miles of this race. Had a restart where he slipped back into traffic and never really got all the way back to the front.
Yeah, the car's been okay, and as they get laps down, they're okay, but you know, just not the speed we expect. Here's the man that's kind of the mystery right now, Kevin Harvick, who just had such a strong car for so long in this race.
I think the track has changed some as it got cooler and cooler during the night, and I think it really came to Martin Truex. They obviously have made some good adjustments too, but I think it's kind of moved away from Harvick's team. They just don't seem to be as good this probably the last hour that they had been earlier.
Kevin led the most laps tonight by 2 over Hamlin, 101 of the 306 that we've run. And again, came down pit road from second place at lap 275, restarted 5th, but has not moved forward any from there. It has been a long time since Martin Truex Jr. has been to victory lane. He's done it one time in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, June of 2007. At the Monster Mile in Dover. You can see some of the longest winless streaks. And Truex would slide right into the middle of that list if he can run it out and score the W tonight.
Yeah, looks like Harvick's car is coming around. He's always been good on the long runs tonight. I think it's going to be a little too late, though, in this run.
Still got those busy hands. We've watched Kyle Busch work really hard behind the wheel of this car tonight, Dave.
Absolutely true. Since the restart, however, it hasn't been handling right at all. Too tight, no turn early on, and then just about 5 laps ago, he reported, I'm losing rear lateral grip. So it's really not the race car that he could have driven forward. Instead, it's falling back.
And check that out. He's turning the wheels right in a left-hand turn at 153 miles an hour.
What makes this place so great. You just have to literally drive the wheels off of it, and you know, when it's not handling, driver has a lot of work to do inside the cockpit.
why it's save. I don't get it.
Well, we got two different things. We got a regular fuel mileage that says we're good, so I just want to make sure we don't run out of gas. There's nothing to lose.
All right, 10-4. It's making me nervous. You keep telling me to lift earlier, lift earlier, lift earlier.
I just don't want to run you out of gas, man.
Yeah, but you got a 3.5 second lead. There's no reason not to save fuel right now. And so that's what he's telling. Chester's saying, look, just back off a little bit. And if he needs to run harder, he'll tell him.
Yeah, and he's backing off and still actually beating Jeff Gordon by about 1/10 of a second a lap.
Maybe a little element to this, couple elements. Chad Johnson's never won a race as a crew chief.
He's giving me 300 feet, 3.7 seconds back, 33.20.
And this is a team that can lock in on points tonight. And we heard Chad tell you on the pace laps, and as our in-race reporter, that they would go for the win tonight, but if it would mean doing something between finishing first and finishing 25th, or finishing first or finishing 5th, they would go the conservative route.
Well, he just said they weren't going to make a foolish gamble. They might gamble a little bit. They really want to get a win. He told me how much it really meant for them to get a win under their belt before the chase starts. But they weren't going to make a foolish gamble. And what they're doing right now is not foolish in any way. It's their numbers say they're good. They've been saving under caution. I think they're fine.
He's saving me 300 feet.
I do know
what it's... Don't get paid any extra to finish 3 seconds ahead.
I know what this is like. The last race I won with Dale Earnhardt Sr. was right here, and we had a big lead, and we were running low on fuel. And I said, just back off. We had a 10-second lead, and he kept going faster. And I said, look, it doesn't pay, just like he said, it doesn't pay anymore to win it by a bigger margin. All you got to do is just finish just in front of the second plate.
Yep. It's 3.4 seconds right now ahead of Jeff Gordon for that 56.
Now, certainly looking at it's been a huge week already for Martin and his team. For their sponsor, for Michael Waltrip Racing. Looking very much like they're going to have two of their cars locked into the chase after this night. Even with Clint Boyer's problems, he's going to be solidly in.
Yeah, Boyer had an electrical problem, had to change batteries earlier. He's 27th place, 4 laps down.
Comes Harvick on the move.
4th place there.
Yeah, he's about almost 8 seconds behind the leader, but he is making up some spots.
Backing up another 100 feet.
I'll tell you, I noticed he is nervous. He wants to make sure. And you know what? They got the luxury. They have this lead, so use it up. That's the way you do it. Use it to your advantage. When he say back it up 100 feet, he's talking about his lift points getting in the corner. Back it up another 100 feet. And then he's monitoring lap times. He's seeing the monitor that's giving him accurate lap times. He knows if they need to pick it back up, he'll tell him.
Yeah, and as a driver, though, that becomes difficult. You know that.
Back it up for me.
But you get in a rhythm. And your car is so good, he says, not even touching the brake, but it's that good. It throws you off a little bit. That you feel like you've really slowed down tremendously, but he's still just as fast as the rest of the cars, pretty much.
And you want to know how fluid this whole championship wild card situation is?
He's lifting earlier and earlier every lap. I'm watching him. All good. There he is ahead of you now. You can see him.
If somehow the 56 hiccups and the 24 wins, then Jeff Gordon leaps over Kyle Busch into that second wild card spot and puts the 18 in position of must win at Richmond next week. If. All these ifs. But that's the drama we're building up to for next Saturday night at Richmond.
We got a lot of drama right now. I mean, Gordon is just desperate for this. He wants to get this win. He can see the leader. He's not saving anything. And you got Truex up there trying to save a little fuel, give up a little bit of his lead. He needs to get that first win of the year.
Well, he was a little fortunate in getting his first win, so it would take a little fortune here. And that would be Truex running low on fuel here at the very end for him to get this one.
Talking about Jeff Gordon when the leaders in front of him tangled at Pocono, and Gordon shot through into the lead, caution out, rainstorm ends the race.
It's a dynamic interval. You can see Gordon catching Truex just a little bit at a time. But Truex is giving up just about the right amount. I've been watching his lap times. He's got 7 laps to go. He's getting beat about a couple of tenths a lap. That's plenty of cushion.
Yeah, and he had some lap traffic there that was running kind of side by side. And he was a little more cautious as he got through that.
2.5 seconds back. Just keep backing it up some more for me. Nothing to lose.
What a difference it would make going into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with a win. under your belt versus still being frustrated and not having that victory? It'd change your whole outlook on your potential to win the championship.
I'm going to tell you something. Truex is a great guy, too. It's good to see him having this kind of year.
Said the biggest factor in the turnaround of this team for him was being asked by the team a year ago, April, to be involved in helping guide the direction of their car building and their competition and what they did and their competitive decisions. Said it was the coolest and proudest moment of his life, or one of. And it's felt such a special thing to him to see this team progress forward by trouble. Front straightaway, Jamie McMurray.
Way down here, clear, caution south.
Well, he hit it hard.
That's all the makings of a right front. And this changes everything.
Oh, it does.
I think we're going to have to pit here.
Yeah, he has to. Everybody's going to pit behind him.
I don't think you can afford to take two either.
No, it's going to take 4 tires to get it done.
All right, talk about pressure points here. Driver, don't speed on pit road. Pit crew, get it done. The restart upcoming. And what's going to be a 2-lap sprint to the finish with a green-white checker overtime run. And a tough ending to a difficult night for Jamie McMurray.
See, it's happened just in front of Mark Truex.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. He hit it hard.
All the way down on the bottom there. All the way down. You're clear. Caution south.
You could hear the exasperation there in the spotter's voice.
That's Keith Barnwell, spotter from Truex. Yeah, you can just hear it. Caution's out. Oh.
Got 13 cars on the lead lap. Pit road is open. You talk about a money stop. This is a big one, Vince.
And this 24 team has had its issues in the pits this year. Alan Gustafson said we need to be perfect tonight. It's a little too tight on landing for Jeff Gordon, so they're going to go up 1 round on the track bar, give him 4 fresh tires, a tear off, so he's got a clear view as well. Shannon?
Martin Truex Jr. is in his pit box. The call is for 4 tires. They're also going to put a little bit of tape on that nose. They said, Martin, you can do it.
Denny Hamlin gives up 3rd position, too tight at the start of the run. He'll get a wedge and air pressure adjustment to try to take the 11 back to the front. Look at the race off pit road, Alan.
Oh, this is going to be big. Think Denny Hamlin's got it, though.
If he didn't speed to get that, he'll be in good shape.
Puts Gordon on the inside on the restart.
Hamlin brought right back into it from 3rd place by the excellent work his pit crew has done all night, including right now when it counted perhaps most. And by that much.
Well, I tell you, as a pit crew member, you live for that moment right there.
Well, our in-race reporter, I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet tonight because we've done so much running under the green, but Martin Truex Jr. is still up there, DJ. He's going to restart alongside Denny Hamlin.
Hey, Martin, Dale Jarrett, have a copy?
Yeah, man.
Well, I know that that wasn't what you were looking for. You've done a tremendous job, and obviously with all the green flag racing tonight, we hadn't had a chance to talk with you, but what a great run you've had here. Just going to have a couple of laps to get it done and going to be on the outside.
Yeah, we'll see here. That's, man, I sure didn't want to see that caution. You know, we had him covered, but such is life and seems to be my kind of luck when I'm leading. So we'll just do what we can do here. Car's been fast, man. The guy's done awesome. Napa Shocks Toyota's been smoking fast tonight, and it's been so much fun to drive it. Yeah, we're in the Napa's headquarters backyard, and we got a lot of folks here from Napa, and man, I sure want to win this thing for them, so we'll just do what we can. I ain't making no guarantees, but just do all we can do and see what happens.
Well, man, it looked like it was going to be there, almost a perfect week for you with everything taking place, but you really found something when you found that high line, didn't you?
I've always run high here, 1 and 2, but I found something a little bit different this year. The very high line really hadn't been super good all weekend, but I found something kind of in between there that's been working for me, and Chad's made some really good adjustments for me tonight, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens here, but sure is fun running up front and having the Snapper Shocks Toyota up front challenging for a win. I really wish that caution didn't come out, but hopefully we can get us a good restart here, and we'll see what happens. That 11's been real good for about 5 laps, and takes me about 5 to get going, so not real sure what's going to happen, but we'll see we'll just have to wait and see how it goes here.
All right, Martin, thanks for talking with us. Good luck to you, buddy.
Want to go at the line.
Dave?
Catching up with Darian Grubb now. Darian, did you give him enough for a short run car to win this race?
We'll find out right here. He's been probably one of the fastest cars all night. We'll see what we got. It's all adjustments, man. Everybody did something different, so see what happens here.
How about the pit crew again?
Boys did an awesome job on pit road to put in this position for it.
It's like you guys said, all night long on pit road for this 11 bunch.
So Kurt Busch got the free pass. 5 cars just took a wave around to get back on the lead lap. Ambrose, Bain, Biffle, Logano, and Bobby Labonte. We are set to go for a green-white checker finish. If the race is under caution at its scheduled conclusion, scheduled distance, NASCAR extends the race to try and gives the fans a green-white checker finish. 2 laps of racing coming up to decide this thing. Jeff Gordon sitting on the inside of row 2 for the restart.
But go win this thing right now. You got to want the most, man. Go win this thing.
Wouldn't put it past him.
I like his spot, too. That inside lane's been getting going on the restarts.
And that's going to be the key, is the restart, getting up to speed right here to see what he can do.
Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth, and 2 laps to decide it. Pace car is off. Who wins it? Truex struggles. Gordon bidding on Hamlin for the race lead. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking for 4th place on the inside, the white and blue car. Hamlin coming to the white flag. Can Gordon or Keselowski do anything with him? 1 more lap to go. Gordon desperately needs this win. Trying to get to Hamlin. Half a lap left.
Got a good run off, too.
Oh, he's got a
great
chance.
Finishes at Atlanta off turn 4. Can he hook it up? No. Denny Hamlin takes the checkered flag and wins at Atlanta.
Got yourself a win in Atlanta, buddy. Awesome job. Big crew, you got us that win. Big crew. Got us.
Back-to-back wins for Denny Hamlin. And his 4th win of the season for the coach.
Hey, bud, nice job. Nice job, everybody.
Worst he can do is go into the chase tied, and that's if one of the other with 3 wins happens to win at Richmond next week. Right now, he's sitting in the catbird seat.
Burn it down, man.
And what a great illustration demonstration of the team aspect of this sport.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely the pit crew. I mean, there were stars that showed here. I know Hamlin did a great job. That pit crew kept that car out front all night long, and man, when it counted, they put one out there.
And that's what championship teams are made of, too. They step up when you have to.
Last year's championship crew chief, Darian Grubb. Now with Denny Hamlin preparing to launch another bid for a title. They've got back-to-back wins. Bristol last week, Atlanta this week, and Denny's home track in Richmond, where he's had so much success in the past, yet to come next Saturday night. Thrilling twist of plot in the final laps in Atlanta. We'll talk to the winner and some of the other top finishers when we come back in a minute. Well, after the fireworks tonight in Atlanta, it sets up quite the interesting situation for next Saturday night at Richmond. Who gets those wild card spots in the chase? Saturday night at the action track in Virginia's capital, and then it's on to the 10 races to decide the championship. Join us at the track. NASCAR.com/tickets or the phone number at the bottom of the screen. So SportsCenter coming up next with a lot of very interesting sports action throughout the day. A very interesting finish here in Atlanta tonight. Jeff Gordon gave it all he had, Vince. Came up one number short on that scoreboard.
Desperately needed the victory tonight to make the chase. They worked on the car all night long to get in position. How do you sum up that last restart and final couple laps, Jeff?
Well, we were pretty good on the short runs. The long runs are what hurt us, but I got everything I could ask for. You know, I got the restart I wanted, got to the outside. We're a little bit too tight. Denny was pretty good there, but he made a mistake off of 2, and I got a run on him, and I made a bad decision. You know, all night I was able to get the guys' quarter panels and get to the outside of them and stay there, and I should have just run in the back of him going into 3 and moved him up the racetrack. You know, we'd be sitting in victory lane right now and counting another win. You know, this chase is too important to be in it for me not to make a move like that. And, you know, I wouldn't have wanted to wreck him, but I would like to have had that one over again. But I got to thank DuPont for commemorating 20 years that I've been in the sport. This place has been very special to me, and it was very close to being special again here tonight, but still a great effort by the team. I mean, there were times where we were 11th, you know, or 12th. So, you know, just to have a shot to win, I'm thankful for that. I just wish we could have done it again.
Shannon?
Well, Martin Truex Jr., we heard him on In-Race Reporter. We knew that you did not want to see that caution. What happened on the restart?
Just spun the tires. All night long I had trouble on the outside. When I was on the outside, spinning the tires. As soon as I went to third gear, it's really strange. I've never had that before in third. Usually get in second, and then you get to third and you're okay. And I'd be okay in second right there with him, and I'd get to third at the start-finish line. I just smoked the tires like a dragster. So it just wasn't meant to be again, I guess.
Martin Truex Jr. is in the chase, but just certainly not the night he wanted. Alan?
Shannon, he is in the chase. In fact, the entire top 9 are locked in on points, and Tony Stewart guaranteed at least a wild card. Denny Hamlin looking good for maybe a number 1 seed in the chase after his 4th win of the season.
Clinches his way into the chase with a dominating win and erases an offer at Atlanta. What would you call this?
This is one I wanted real bad. Last week was a big one, no doubt about it. But, you know, I've been really good here in Atlanta the last few years to not won. And, you know, we just wore a splitter out, and I had nothing left there at the end. And so our car faded a little bit, but pit crew won me the race. And that's what a championship team's all about, is to having all those pieces of the puzzle put together. And this year I think we have it all.
Fortune wasn't smiling your way with a couple of strategy situations here. And then what did you think when you got the final caution and knew you were going to pit?
It was a new lease on life. You know, I'm 70% happy for us, 30% sad for Michael and Martin Truex and those guys. Those are, one way or another, they're shape or form, they're teammates of ours and Toyota teammates. But I can't say enough for Gordon from Sport Clips coming on board for this race. Thank FedEx, everything they've done for 35 races of the schedule, and Coke, Sprint, Toyota, the Jordan brand, Wiley X, and the fans here. Gosh, this is a big win.
You've always been sort of a statement kind of guy. What do you think this tells the rest of the field about 2 weeks from now when the chase starts?
I don't have to say anything. Wins is all that matters.
Big W here tonight. Denny Hamlin, first time in victory lane here at Atlanta in fine fashion. Alan?
Won more races than anybody else so far this season. And as we check the championship standings with one race to go until the chase, Tony Stewart guaranteed at least a wild card, so those spots are all taken care of.
Yeah, and I think those 9 might make it difficult for one of those drivers outside the top 10 looking to get a victory at Richmond next week.
Casey Kane could race his way into the chase or could fall out of the wild card, depending on how things unfold next Saturday night.
Going to be another wild one next Saturday night in Richmond.
It will be a lot of fun. Mac Tools U.S. Nationals tomorrow at noon on ESPN2, and Sports Center is next, and a huge racing weekend next weekend at Richmond when those final couple of spots in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup are settled, and it's all about one thing: win to get in. Denny Hamlin wins tonight at Atlanta. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.